Salvete omnes, salvete amici, nomen mihi est Decimus Aurelius Ingeniarius, legatus pro praetore Australiae et tribunus plebis Novae Romae. Hello everybody, welcome to the Roman Twitch channel, brought to you by Nova Roma. I am Decimus Aurelius, broadcasting live from the eastern seaboard of Australia. Big shout out to all of our Nova Roma fans and citizens in this part of the world, and of course the Nova Romans right across the globe. And of course, if you're here stopping by, checking things out, it's great to have you on board. Don't forget, it is Subtember here on Twitch, so in some parts of the world there's a discount for subbing to the channel. And your support would be greatly appreciated. Even just a follow on the channel also goes to support us and all of our activities, bringing you lots of live Roman content. And I've been speaking to many other new streamers in the background. We are looking forward to bringing you a diverse range of content going forwards into the future. Everything from cooking streams to Roman book reviews to looking at Roman settlements over in Eastern Europe. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to a lot of the stuff coming up, complementary to some of the other Roman stuff here, like this board game that we're playing here this evening, which is the Republic of Rome board game produced by Valley Games, originally published in 2009. We are now up to episode 5 of our grand campaign, where we have 6 players acting as faction curators, if you like, for several senators in our fledgling ancient Roman Republic Senate. They are doing pretty well now. I think they're getting towards the tail end of the early Republic, have managed to score themselves some war victories, finally, having suffered a few disasters early on. So we are looking forward to them to continue their good work, and hopefully they continue to produce some excellent results on the battlefield as well. So let's not delay. We're now going to take a brief pause while we transition to the Roll20 virtual tabletop environment. I'll switch my cameras over and we'll be back very soon. Don't go away. And we are back. We are now looking at the Roll20 virtual tabletop, where we have produced the Valley Games title here in all its glory, manipulated a little bit to suit our needs, giving a virtual play area for all of our players. All our senators are now live and joining me here. Let's do a sound check and a video check. If I have all my senators wave and say salvete.
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 Good, and I can see some great volume bars moving in my mixer down here as well, so that's good news. We're all connected, we're all live, and thank you in chat if you are following along this evening. I know some of our senators are also watching the live broadcast themselves, making sure they're looking schmick and doing a good job. Okay, so we are here. We last left ourselves in our usual spot where we like to leave things at the end of a session, which is right at the towards the start of the Senate phase, where we've just elected the new consuls, and I'll let the freshly elected consuls do their thing and introduce themselves. We're about to hear from them now, who's going to, at least the field consul will announce who the Rome consul is, and then we'll see the proceedings develop from there. These guys know what they're doing. They're pretty mature now. So over to the consuls, over to you guys.
Well, thank you very much. The Sulpicius family would like to thank the Senators of Rome for giving the family another opportunity to prove itself in the area of consul. But leading us through this next year with the many battles we have is Papyrus from the Fortuna's Despair. And I think we're all looking forward to seeing his leadership, how he takes us from this precarious position. Obviously, the Fortuna's Despair have been very vocal on the backbenches for the last number of years. So we all look forward to seeing the strong leadership that they have promised. So without further ado, Senators, I introduce you to Papyrus.
Thank you, Lucius, and lovely words. And might I return the favour and recognise your election as field consul. The military skills brought by Sulpicius will be a great asset to the Empire, to the Republic rather, in the next phase of our inevitable path towards world domination. So, with no further ado, we have an office to fill, of course.
If I may quickly, I'd like to dispense with some of the administrative formalities that we have to go through. If you guys would like to assign yourselves your purple office tokens and, of course, award yourselves the appropriate 5 influence each, you'll find your various plaques in the sandpit in the middle there. So, of course, our Rome Consul will take the Rome Consul, Pip, and Plark there, and the Field Consul will take his respectively. I wouldn't want you guys to miss out on your influence, so we'll just quickly jump in there and do that first. And we'll see some of the updates there. So we have Sulpicius as Field Consul, I see. Right, military rating of 3. And we have, who is our Rome Consul?
Papirius.
Ah, yes, here we go. And I'll bring that up on screen. Ah, yes, Papirius, military rating of 1, ID number 11, there we go, of Fortuna's Despair is our new Rome Consul. Very good. Yes, I think last turn, Fortuna's Despair, they suffered a few deaths due to the epidemic. Is that correct? More than one, if I remember correctly?
We did, but it's rejuvenating. We have trimmed away the deadwood in the faction. And we've found some good youngsters to take their place.
Good. All right.
Where's the console? Marker?
I've just given it to you now. It was just right above his plaque there. I've just dragged that down to you. There we are. So make sure you've both added your 5 influence accordingly. Wouldn't want to just missed out. So we now see Sulpicius is at 7. Is that correct? 7 influence?
Yes.
Good. And Papirius is now at 8 influence. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Okay. Yes. Please go ahead and proceed there, Rome Consul.
Thank you very much. Because, of course, it wasn't just Fortuna's Despair that paid the ultimate price from the epidemic that raged through the capital, particularly the Avalon Hill, in the last round. So I want to recognise everybody that fell in that tragic period. In particular, I want to recognise the pre-Byzantium faction, who tragically lost the Pontifex Maximus from our ranks, and we've been rudderless without our spiritual leader in this time. So we think the consuls believe it's very important that we move to restore that position within the Senate. And while we have some thinking about who we would like it to be, I would like to open the floor to anybody who wants to nominate a senator from their faction.
Yes, so I shall start off, I guess. As we know, it was Junius who lost his life as Pontifex Maximus. And as we can see in the pre-Byzantium faction, Junius's young son is here. And I believe that after his good victories, the elder Junius in the last 2 wars, that his son is ready to carry that mantle. So he would like to put his hand up for that.
Well, I am glad to hear that. And I will say that both the consuls agree that that is a worthy nomination, but I'm happy to hear from others. And we don't appear to have any other nominations, so what I shall do is to put it to a vote. So the proposal is for Junius to be elected Pontifex Maximus, and I'll start with pre-Byzantium for the votes, please.
I shall put 7 votes in favour.
Thank you. And Erudite?
10 votes in favour.
Excellent. House of Incognita?
10 votes in favour.
Fortuna's Despair will vote in favour with 7 votes. And on to the House of Juliac.
15 votes in favour.
And Justita Merita.
I will add my 9 votes for.
Well, it's unanimous, a vote of confidence in Junius, indeed, to fulfil that role. So, congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
Might just pause there while we do the housekeeping.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your support, and let's hope that in the upcoming wars we're as favourable with Jupiter with the new Pontifex Maximus.
Yeah, he did well for us last time.
It was, well, I won't say that it was him particularly, but I think changing to Jupiter was a much smarter decision, let's say.
There we go. I've just dragged your tokens up there, Junius. If you'd like to go ahead and add your 5 influence to Junius the Younger.
Can do. Thank you very much.
Good to see Pontifex Maximus up again. That's great. And in the family. That's quite prestigious.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's the religious folk for you.
All right. That looks to be taken care of.
Excellent. the next order of business is to consider a dictator. Now, can we just check that we and confirm that we meet the conditions for a dictator?
Good. I like that you're checking.
The two possible conditions for a dictator is to have 3 active wars, which we meet, or to have a single war with a land value of 20 or more, which we also meet.
Okay, thank you.
Technically speaking, we don't meet the second condition. So we certainly meet the first. We've got 3 or more active wars. So the second one requires, and as you said, a land strength of 20 or greater. So I don't think it includes the addition of the enemy leaders. Anyway, it's a moot point because you still meet the conditions, and I'd certainly advocate for you guys to appoint a dictator.
As would I. Does anybody, before we rush ahead to that, think that the consultative consul that I am, I'd like to hear if anybody thinks that would not be a good idea. I think that the benefits outweigh the negatives, but I am open to hearing other senators on the issue.
Just a quick point of interest, if I may, Rome Consul.
Of course.
So I just wanted to clarify, thanks to Mr. Alan Richborough, who has been assisting us and reviewing our games. So based on, I think it's Rule 1.09.11, I think, or somewhere thereabouts, so we are able to confirm that once the new consuls are elected, the dictator and master of horse lose their office, which means that when it comes to this point, when a newer dictator is being elected, it means that anybody is eligible provided they're not already holding a major office. Now, because the previous dictator has since lost his office, a dictator can then be reappointed. So assuming that they are in Rome and they're not, pro-consul somewhere on a war. Right, so a master of horse and a dictator, provided that they are in Rome, can in fact actually be re-elected again, should that be the case. I just wanted to put that out there as a point of interest, just to clarify.
And I believe everybody's in Rome. Is that correct?
Yes, I don't think anybody's away yet.
Good to hear. So back to my original question, is there anybody that would speak against appointing a dictator?
No.
Good to hear. Well, if he was reading the scrolls he received on the weekend, then hopefully Marcus Decimus Meritus is aware this time, after a slight failure in communication last time, that Quintus Flaminius is the nominee of the consuls to be dictator.
Why, thank you very much. I'm pleased to have received the confidence from the elected consuls, and I graciously accept the appointment as dictator.
All right, go ahead and grab yourself some dictator plaques and purple ID tokens.
I'll put my vetoes away.
Good, yes. Everyone put your vetoes away, all right? No vetoes when there's a dictator out. We haven't somehow all missed that last session. Yes, you cannot throw a tribune out to veto a dictator's proposal. All right, so we'll just give the dictator a moment to update and add 7 influence to Quintus Flaminius. Yeah, pretty hefty, isn't it?
Man.
That'll bring him to a total of 24 by the looks of it.
Well, hopefully he'll use that influence over the Carthaginians.
Of course.
Send him home.
So sadly, he can only use it. I think it's the Macedonian. Sorry, I'm just moving some of your talents out of the way. Yeah, so he has some perks against the Macedonian Wars. Unfortunately, you guys lost
that's right.
Cornelius Scipio Africanus already. He's passed away. He was your ticket to a better ride through the Punic Wars, but he has now since been lost to the Republic, which is unfortunate.
Sad times.
Yeah. All right. Looks like the dictator's up and running. All right, cool.
Yep, I was just updating faction influence to
Good. Lovely.
make sure that matched as well. So that should be 34 there as well. All right. Then as my first act, I'll have a look at electing a censor in sense of making this process quick. I'm going to put forward a proposal that Julius from the Erudite faction be the censor for the coming year. I'm going to put this to vote now. the Erudite faction, I'll hear your vote.
10
Do we
votes
need to
for.
vote?
Oh, because it's a dictatorship?
Sorry. Yeah,
I
I
believe-
think it is just.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
says.
it still requires a vote. Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
They just can't be
Okay.
vetoed. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just
10
get myself. Sorry, I just get myself caught up on this.
That's good. Yeah.
No.
Give your scribe a good moment to catch up. That's right.
No worries.
So it was 10.
10 votes for. Yep.
Pre-Byzantine,
7 votes for.
I'll place my 9 votes for the proposal. House of Julii,
15 votes for.
Fortune's Despair,
I think it's, what is it, 7 or 8? Whatever it is. It's 4. I'll fix that up.
7 vote is what you have on your faction
Yeah.
tally.
Yep, that
Thank
looks
you, that's
correct to me. Yep.
And House of Incognita, I'll hear your vote.
10 against.
Duly noted.
Okay, 48 to 10. The motion is carried.
Right, thank you very much.
All right. If you can ply the censor plaque from Flaminius.
No.
And if you, Quintus Octavius, if you could kindly place the tokens as appropriate on Julius, and if you don't mind, if you could also update the influence for Julius as well. So if you could add 5 to the 12 that Julius already has, that would be much appreciated if you can do that.
No problem.
Just to help out the Erudite faction stuck in the middle there.
After they pry it from my body.
While this is occurring as well, I will formally hand over the presiding magistrate to the Erudite faction.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. And in true Roman style, we will be looking at the distribution of power within the Senate, and we will be conducting prosecutions.
All right.
So I am going to put forward Flaminius for prosecution. So I will be needing a prosecutor.
Before we continue, as dictator, I would just wish to confirm: will this be a minor or a major prosecution?
Which did you deem to be more relevant? I think we were. Yep.
I
didn't even neither.
personally, as dictator,
Mhm.
would be more interested in a major prosecution.
Yes,
But I
agree.
shall leave that in the
Again-
hands of the censor.
Yes.
Well, once again, the dictator shows his wisdom.
Let's see
Yes,
how
very
it
sage.
stands.
I think that's a good course of action. As the Pontifex Maximus, that's what the augurs are saying that we should.
Yes.
Mm.
It's deemed to
How much did
probably
you pay
be
him?
the most efficient option. So I'm going to put forward Flaminius for prosecution. So we will need a prosecutor to be appointed. Would somebody like to put forward to be prosecutor?
What's required for that? Is that a high oratory? Is what we're looking for?
Isn't it
Yeah.
just a vote? Or is it oratory as well?
No,
think
oratory
it's-
is good for both the prosecutor and subsequently the advocate.
Perhaps the elder statesman, Cato the Elder, might be interested.
Okay.
He's certainly got a sharp tongue.
He does.
Seems like a wise choice.
Okay, Cato the Elder would be having spent many years in the Senate, even though he's the
Okay.
youngest in the faction.
Yes. So we
Would
will.
put himself forward for prosecutor.
Okay. So if we have no other nominees, we shall appoint him as prosecutor. Now, so which side do we hear from first?
What I'd like you to do first, Censor, is just
Yep.
give Flaminius an opportunity to try and identify an advocate.
Okay.
I'll advocate myself.
Okay, you don't wish to seek somebody else to try and advocate on your behalf?
I don't know. I believe you should be able to defend yourself instead of getting someone else to do it for you.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, it's always in
As
your...
has many an many an imprisoned person over the years.
I only point this out, for your benefit. I mean, obviously, it'd be helpful to have an advocate with a high oratory. But it is completely. It could be a part of your strategy to then just advocate for yourself. But I just wanted to point that out for you. That's all.
Yeah, I'll have Claudius. I'm not going to have my own senator that's getting accused. I'm still myself.
Okay.
Okay, all right, very well. So it'll be a self-advocate.
Okay. So I'm just confirming that we will hear from the prosecutor first before the defendant. Yes. So I call on Cato the Elder to give the prosecution.
Okie dokie. Right. Senators of Rome, it is a grave day when we have to stand in judgment of one of our own. But I think all of us are very aware of the scenes that have been happening over the last number of years with an obvious grab of power from Flaminius, who claims to be one of our own. We'll start with some of the things that have happened since Flaminius took power. I'll take you back to his first year when we duly elected Pontimus Maximus. The first thing the new censor decided to do was attack the faction that we had just voted as our religious leaders. Now, I ask all of you, do you think Mars was appeased by this? Or did you think Mars forsaken us? I don't think we need to divulge that further. It is obvious that we angered the gods, and it was only when we had to later change our praying and go to a new god that we were freed from the disasters that it had from that session. The other things that have happened is when all of Rome decided that we needed to have a change, Flaminius decided to use some very shady political intrigue, which after later looking at the laws of Rome, we have found he not only broke the laws, he broke them 3 times. When you appoint a dictator,
Shame.
when all of us appoint a dictator, it is to lead Rome in strength. Everybody would agree to follow, except for one man, Flaminius, who decided he would go his own way. You'll also remember last year when, unfortunately, the pox hit Rome, and many of our senators, Sulpicius of our own faction himself, went out to help the plebs. Many of us lost senators to that plague, but that faction there where Flaminius hangs out, they didn't lose anyone.
I'd like to call for relevancy.
Can I ask the centre to
Overruled.
So once again, while the rest of Rome the senators are out there fighting for Rome, last year when we were all putting our shekels and our talents forwards to help build ships and build fleet and troops for the upcoming war, I'll ask you to think back about how much money was spent from that faction, and I think you'll find that Flaminius once again has been pooling those funds, looking at ways to make himself more powerful. It is unlikely that anybody here would disagree that Flaminius has visions of being censor for life. And one of the last things we will sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, so basically with the last of voting taken today, I think it's fairly obvious that Flaminius has chosen a way forward for his faction to seize power. He has himself prosecuted, as we said earlier, while himself is taking money from the farmers and not using it for Rome. It's just a corrupt man prosecuting others for corruption. And as a faction that has no corruption in it, it doesn't sit well with us. So the House of Julii would certainly recommend that all senators of Rome find Flaminius guilty. We rest our case.
Here.
Thank you for that. I will now call upon. Yep.
And what if you get the verdict you're looking for? What penalty would you also be looking for?
That's already determined. So as the censor has called for a major prosecution of Flaminius, a successful prosecution means death.
By wine.
Oh, I just wanted to hear it, really, from the prosecution.
Okay. We now need to
sakes.
give the right of reply. So I call upon the House of Incognita to give the right of reply.
Well, firstly, I'd like to say there is no valid point for doing this, as it is a quite useless prosecution, as we should be devoting our efforts towards the war instead of trying to turn a table on ourselves. Now, secondly, you mentioned that I did not donate any money towards the cause because, well, I had none at the point because I gave all mine to Marcus Decimus, who was requiring money to host games, as he wanted it to be able to do this so we could have our unrest level lowered in the city. Now, I believe that was a better idea, as this was able to be done so we could host our games and allow our people to be more happy. This involved, and this allowed us to be able to prosper in wars. But you also say that I have put myself behind and not put myself into wars, yet my own senators themselves have went to wars and fought, and we have no losses. Yet we have other senators who can fight, but not one without a loss. You also say my prosecution against the Pontifex Maximus was unjust, yet he was the first person to take money from people and try and demand high ransoms, when we had wars that we should have focused on. Now, I believe these were quite valid reasons to put our prosecutions forward. Whether it went through or not is irrelevant. The prosecutions that I did not do due to the fact we had wars were because we should have had our money focused elsewhere. Now, when I don't have money, it's because it's either donated or I'm helping someone else out. Now, if that's not helping Rome, then I believe this government's just corrupt.
Thank you.
Scared me.
I'm
then,
just
Maurice
confirming
Aurelius.
that is all you have to say.
That is all I have to say. I have no more.
Okay. Thank you. So
Off with his head.
we will be taking votes, and so I'm going to first of all.
Censor, if I may, just a quick point of interest before we step in there. I just want to make sure everybody knows their rights as we step into this area. So I guess this is particularly more points for the defence. So I just want to remind you, and this hadn't come up obviously in previous prosecutions, but you as yourself as a previous censor may be aware, but I just want to make sure that you as a defence don't forget that at or on your on your turn to vote, before you cast your vote, you are entitled, if you wish, it's an optional step, to take a popular appeal, which is modified by your popularity, which is a roll of a 2d6 on the popular appeal table, which is located down the bottom of the playing area. So you can consider that on your turn to vote as well, okay? I just want to put that out there. But yes, so far we are proceeding in order as we should. Thank you, Censor. Back to you.
Thank you. So firstly, I'll take votes from Marcus Decimus.
I placed 9 votes for the prosecution.
So just before we go, does this need to be documented by the scribe?
It should, particularly for yourself. You'll want to track the votes. So just for your,
I can write it down as well.
There we go. Yeah. So it'll be good to have a couple of people do this. So just remember, you're going to have votes for the prosecution or against the prosecution. And remember, as per the cheat sheet there on the back, the accused is freed for if the total votes is greater than or equal to 0. The accused is freed if the total votes is essentially positive, right? So however you track the votes is up to you. Some people like to cast positive and negative votes when they're tallying it up. Others will just have 2 columns to track those, whatever you find simpler. But just note what votes are for, what votes are against, and just take note as we do each of the parts of the calculation of this equation as we go through, okay?
Okay.
Sorry, I should have been clearer. Do I need to track down a proposal?
Yes,
I
please,
guess,
if
for
you
the
could.
record?
It's
Right,
look,
okay.
it's technically not a proposal, even though it can be vetoed. But yes, I think I'd like to see them tracked. It'd be good for the
Okay.
records.
Next, I call on Quintus Octavius for your votes.
You should be able to tell what my votes are, but nonetheless, my guy's innocent. All 10 are for his innocence.
Okay. So next, I call on Numerus Aurelius.
That will be 7 votes in favour of prosecution.
Lucius Julius.
That'll be 15 votes in favour.
And Cornelius Jacobus.
7 votes in favour.
Okay, and we also finally have the Erudite House, which is 10 votes for. So we have 7.
I think I'm noticing
I have
something
48
going on
in
in the
favour and 10
background here.
against.
A fight against corrupt censors.
I guess I should not be in here then.
Remember, it's not over yet because we've still got to do the trial votes.
Yep. Okay, so I'll just get the calculator because it's got 14 plus 9 plus 15 plus 10 equals 48 for and 10 against.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to go ahead, Censor, and conduct your trial votes now.
Sorry, how do I do that?
Certainly. So this is where the advocate's oratory and the prosecutor's oratory play off against each other, and a 2d6 is rolled. So let's work it out. So the prosecutor, what's his oratory?
6.
Is 6, and what's the advocate's oratory?
3.
3.
Was it
so
Claudius?
So what? 3 minus 6 is minus 3. All right, and we're going to add 2d6 to that roll. All right, as per the trial votes part of the equation there on the back. So there is actually, it actually does actually specify in the rule book which of the 2 rolls the dice, and I think it's the advocate who rolls the 2d6. Because of the how major this is, we may in fact give that privilege to the advocate anyway, if you agree, Censor, and allow him to roll the 2d6. But I'm sure Poach Trout or Mr. Richborough will correct me. But yeah, normally there is somebody who's specified who rolls his 2d6 for the trial votes. But yes, if you agree, let's have the advocate himself, Flaminius, roll that 2d6 and let's work out what that is. Okay, 4. So you got minus 3 plus 4. There you go. That's your total. Now you're going to need to. I think you need to check that final result, which is what was that 1? You need to check that on the trial table. So look at 1. So I'm going to go down there with my view as well. There we go. So the trial result. Now I see here. You got minus 3 plus the 2d6. Now we're not looking at the popular appeal result here, so that's not the middle column. So we look at the trial result. Now, according to this, it's minus 20 votes are added to the total right now.
Yikes.
So that works very much against. So it's essentially it's 20 votes for the prosecution is how to read that.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. So it means that Cato the Alto spoke very well
as well, doesn't he?
Sorry. Yes, we also will need to take that into account in the final tally. Yes, that'll be the next step. That's good. I'm glad you picked that up. So what is your current total so far, Censor?
So we had 48 for the votes. We had plus 1 for the dice roll, and then minus 20 for the that bit.
So all you're looking at is add 20 to your 48.
Oh, add 20. Okay. So
All right. So what's so it's 68 to 10 right now.
Yep.
Okay, so
No, the 10 was +1 as well too for the dice.
no.
roll, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
no.
No.
That +1 is only guiding us on the table. You don't need to
Okay.
add
Yep.
that to anything there. So now the final results here is
Yep.
we're going to take that total tally that you have there, and you now need to remove
Yep.
or add in favour the amount of influence of the defendant to that total. So you can add 24 to his 10.
To the 10.
Yep.
Okay. So
And
34.
that will give us the final result and the final outcome of your vote here.
In death.
Okay. It is not. Unfortunately, the gods have given us their power, and unfortunately, it looks as though the prosecution was successful.
Huzzah!
So, how do we proceed from here?
All right, there we go. So,
We draw straws to see who lopped his head off.
so what this does mean is Flaminius has been executed. So the prosecution was successful in this case. Now, before we wipe his card, we do need to see some of the values on his card because the prosecutor gains some perks for being the prosecutor on this.
Oh yeah,
so
geez, don't they get like half my influence?
essentially,
no.
so the prosecutor in this case gains any prior console marker. So if you'd like to grab that prior console marker of Flaminius there, Cato the Elder,
Keep himself away.
plus half fractions rounded up of any influence lost by the accused, and because all influence is lost upon execution, you'll gain 12 influence. So Cato the Elder is going to gain the prior console marker from Flaminius, and he can add 12 influence to his total. Because he was his own advocate, there's nothing else to worry about in that regard. There we go. There goes the prior console marker. And now what we can do is we can do the rest of the wipe. So if I could request of you, Quintus Octavius, could you please move the Tax Farmer 5 concession to the sandpit, to the forum? That will be up for consideration for the Senate a little bit later. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to convince the Senate to offer that back to your faction. You can remove your age token, you can remove your major marker and your knight's token, of course.
I would just like to state, as the priest in death, everyone finds salvation. So we certainly don't hold any grudges once he's been executed.
My guy will come back to haunt you all.
I might hold a grudge then.
So I don't know, in all the games I've ever played, I don't know if I've ever seen a major prosecution and a successful one at that before. I think this is my first time, which is phenomenal.
All right, what do I do since he's the faction leader?
Right, so standard rules apply here. So the only reason why you'd potentially lose your senator in full is if he was found guilty through a special prosecution if he was an assassin, but this is not the case here. So as far as I'm aware, you get to keep him automatically because he is your faction leader. Now I'm just going to go double check in my rules here. Accusers executed. So I'm going to look at rule 1.05.3. There might be something else to consider there. Always good to check. Here we go, 1.522, 3 death consequences. It should be all the standard. Yep. Yeah, so I'm reading 1.05.3, which is the death consequences. Yeah, no, so yeah, as we've been playing, there's he gets to keep his faction leader as per normal. Okay, so Flaminius's
And he'll
son
just be at 0 influence, right?
So as far as I'm aware, it'll go to 3. So yeah, you don't. It'll be the standard stock standard 3 influence. Yeah, it's just as if all wipe. So you will actually, in fact, start with 3 influence, which is his base influence there.
Things are not
Keep
as bad
something.
as what they seem.
There we go.
What do you mean? I
Doesn't
just lost.
Claudius lose some
21.
influence because he was the advocate on the
No,
losing
Claudius, in
side?
fact, was not the advocate. Flaminius was self-advocating here, and I
he used
think.
his oratory.
Claudius was.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, you
Claudius
did in fact
was.
point
Yeah.
Claudius.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought Flaminius was self-advocating here. I completely misheard you. So we need to double check. There are some consequences for an advocate who is on the wrong end of a prosecution. So we're going to go back to that section in my little rule book here. Down into the Senate phase. And you guys can, of course, bring this up in your rule books if you can do it quicker than I can. Here we go. All right. Prosecutor go. Yep, we've talked about the prosecutor. Let's have a look. So I can't read anywhere here. Oh, hang on. We need to go to the advocate section. Apologies. We're actually going to go down to the advanced rules because we're using advocates, which is in fact an advanced rule, and this will give us the answer. That's what we want. There is advocates. So if you go down to rule 2.05, everybody, 2.05, you will see guilty. If the victim is guilty, the advocate loses 3 influence. But so Claudius will go down to 1. So that's regardless of the type of the prosecution, down to a minimum of 0. So Claudius will go down to 1 influence now. Good pickup. I apologise. I thought Flaminius was self-representing as advocate there, but I was.
Would that change anything with Flaminius, or would that just keep him, still?
No, because it looks like we're using the correct values in the trial votes. So unfortunately, that doesn't change the outcome in any discernible way.
Shame. Should have kept the influence.
Yeah. That's there we go. So Claudius, as the advocate in this case, yes, reduces his influence by 3 down to 1 in this case, as he was a non-successful advocate. There we go. Yeah, Poach Trout is on it. He knows. He's got the rule numbers, and there we go.
Moving on, I'm going to hand back to the dictator to help to move us forward into the important business, which is relating to the wars and our future.
All right. Thank you very much.
Censor. Very good job.
Thank you.
All right. Next on mandatory business, with the victories that we saw in the previous year, we have now got ourselves a colony that which the Republic of Rome must manage, and it is up to us, the Senate, to send forth a senator to govern this new colony. I'll remind the Senate as well that upon election, that senator will immediately leave to go and begin his governorship and will not participate in the remainder of the Senate phase. Firstly, I would like to hear if there would be any nominations for such a governorship and why they should be appointed to such a position.
Given where it is, and that Hannibal is going to be rocking up with some elephants, would it be wise to send somebody with some decent military?
Well, I was going to put Fabius's hand up from the pre-Byzantium faction. He has a decent 4 military, but if you scroll on over and have a look at him, you will see that he has a medal from one of our previous wars. I believe that as a war hero, he's demonstrated himself as a solid civil servant, and he might be a good candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Did he win the war though?
Good suggestion.
I'm not sure.
Any war you walk away from is a
Maybe
good.
everybody just sees the medal.
I think he might have stolen it.
Oh, that's harsh.
So if I might jump in here, dictator, with a point of interest.
Sure, certainly.
So this is just some context in that, and it sounds like you guys are already on the track anyway. Thinking about getting somebody in there with some decent military strength. So remember that if there is a war card that attacks a province, if the Senate does not prosecute that war in a turn, then the governor is forced to fight that war with whatever forces that he has. Now, his forces are made up of his inaugural land strength, which is the number next to the swords. So if I bring this up again for everyone, and I discussed this briefly, I think, last week. So as a strength of 1, and the governor can also supplement that using the local taxes and personal income to create local provincial forces. In this case, this province allows a maximum of 5. Now, you also need to note that a provincial force is only worth half the value of a standard force unit. So if an enemy has a strength of 5, and you've got 5 provincial forces, you've actually technically only got, I think it's 2. I think it's rounded down. We can double check that. Poached Trout, I'm sure, is looking it up already. Now, you can, however, have your provincial forces counted as full strength if the Senate garrisons full legions there. It only has to be 1. That legion, which is paid for by the Senate, of course, will supplement the forces of the province, and those provincial forces are worth full value, and that legion or legions sent by the Senate also help to fight on behalf of the governor should that province need to attack a war. So you can actually see there, it gives you a clue. So it says it defends against all Gallic wars, Germanic migrations, and Second Punic War. So if you're predicting, now we haven't seen the Second Punic War yet, but if you're predicting the Second Punic War is about to come up, then you know when that war is out there, then you'll know that this province will have to defend against that war should the Senate not attack that war.
Thank you very much for that point of interest. I do believe that Fabius actually would be a very good candidate for the governorship. I might just confirm another point of order. The raising of provincial forces using the personal revenue, could that be revenue transferred from the wider faction still in Rome to the governor?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, that yes, any horse trading in terms of currency, which happens in the revenue phase, can occur. So you could help to supplement a governor by providing him finances, and he could add. So right now, with 15 local taxes, he can only raise 1 unit. But if you were to give him, say, an additional 5 talents, and then if the governor was to add that to the 15, he gets 20, and therefore that's 2 units that he can raise in total. Yep. Of course, you could supplement any value to increase that and gain more and more forces. The 15 is just like a base bonus, which is unbankable, unsavable, and untransferable.
Yes. Given the pre-Byzantine faction also has the Pontius Maximus, which has a paid office which can be quite lucrative, and giving the best interest for both the pre-Byzantine faction as the greater Republic of Rome, I think as a general thought going forward, that Fabius takes the governorship and uses all available wealth as well as the support of the Senate to bolster the newly formed provincial area for any possible future attacks. Yes?
Sorry, I just would like to make a suggestion. I'm not sure if this is in the rules, but could I make a public agreement that I could use the money from the Pontifex Maximus to, I guess, in 2 parts. One would be to pay the upkeep of 1 legion if we sent it there to get the full strength, and then the second would be any leftover money to go to that raising of other forces. Am I allowed to make a deal, an agreement like that?
I would certainly garner the trust of your fellow senators.
Well, if that is legally I can make that deal, then I would suggest that if Fabius is successful in getting this governorship, then we at the pre-Byzantium faction would indeed be. Now, obviously, the Pontifex Maximus's extra money is variable depending on a 1d6, but we would be donating all that money towards the upkeep and to raising extra soldiers as required. So I'll make that's a public agreement that if successful, I will do that, which is contractually binding.
Very well.
Noted. I just had a couple of questions before we proceed. How many is it for 3 seasons? Is that the turn of the governorship, and then we have the opportunity to send them back or elect somebody entirely different?
Yes, it would be 3 years. Yes.
Yeah.
Assuming the Senate doesn't recall them first.
In terms of garrisoning, can we make a decision upon garrisoning and the cost of garrisoning when the war arises, or should it be done in advance because the war will come to the province ahead of us having the opportunity to garrison it?
So recall that proposals to garrison forces can only be done in the Senate phase.
Right. So the war would be upon the province ahead of that phase.
More than likely. So some
No.
some thinking ahead is perhaps in order.
Yep.
Then I believe that would be if the war is active, because there's the imminent war phase.
Correct.
I believe because we have the first Punic War, the second Punic War, if drawn, would be an imminent war, which would then become active the next turn. So
Correct.
we would have likely 2 years worth to be able to garrison this province and hopefully be a good defensive point for battling a second Punic War. Hopefully dealing with the first Punic War before that stage as well.
And of course, we're talking about bolstering forces and stuff of governors. This is running on the assumption that you're planning to essentially not fight the second Punic War and leaving the governor to clean up your dirty work. So assuming if the Senate, of course, is looking to send a force, then you don't have to worry as much about bolstering the province. But there's always revolts and things to keep an eye out for, which can help to have forces there. It's all about, weighing up your options, right?
Yes. And certainly we'll have years to be able to continue to research and determine the best outcome. In that case, I'll put forward the proposal, noting the open public agreement from the pre-Byzantine faction that the Pontius Maximus will put forward all available funds, as he so stated before. The pre-Byzantine faction, I'll hear your vote.
7 votes in favour.
I shall place my note. Yes, go on.
I'm sorry, I just for the scribe, what's the proposal? So
The
what's
proposal,
the name of
the Fabius, ID 2.
Thank you, perfect.
Will be elected the governor to proceed to go to what's it called? Gallia.
Gallia.
I place my 9 votes for the proposal. I'll hear from the House of Julii.
15 votes for the proposal.
Fortune's Despair.
8 votes for the proposal. 7.
House of Incognita.
All of mine against.
I'll hear from the Erudite
How many
faction.
is that? How many votes is that?
10.
10.
10 against, right.
No, it's 9 now. I don't have one.
That's 9, is it?
Yeah. Didn't update it yet.
And I'll just confirm Erudite faction, your vote
10
as well.
votes for.
All right, thank you. Scriber, I'll hear the final tally.
And just a quick one, don't forget to appoint your Master of Horse too, Dictator.
I believe I can do that at any time, correct?
I suppose so.
That's 48 in favour and 9 against.
All right, thank you very much. In that case, I will now give Fabius leave to go and take his governorship immediately.
All right, so
if I may, Dictator, can I just quickly give a acceptance speech?
Certainly.
Thank you, Senator of Rome. I just want to say that your trust in me will not go in vain. This province has been created since our success in the previous wars, hopefully our first of many, and I will be standing as a bulwark against the barbarian forces that might trespass down to Rome. So
you're going to shirt front the barbarians? Is that what you're going to do?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shirt front an elephant.
They're only miniature elephants at the time, so.
Right. So now, ladies and gents, this is where we get to use our map in earnest. So if you all scroll up and have a look at our very large map at the top of the playing area, you can now see our governor assigned as well as the provincial card to that area. So if the Senate, say, decides to deploy a garrison, or if provincial forces are raised, that'll all be shown on the map here now. You'll be able to see that live. So you can now see you now own Roma, the main body of Italy, and now the first province here. So as you gain more provinces, we will continue to show them on the map. And of course, who is in charge in this case? We have our first governor, Governor Fabius, which is pretty awesome.
And what happens to the Sicilian grain concession?
No change.
Does it remain active?
Yep, remains active. No change there.
Just a quick question. There's no influence or anything I have to worry about with that?
Nope. No influence you have to worry about. But what you should perhaps do is update your total faction votes box now. So you'll now lose 3 faction votes from your total votes, because your governor is now no longer in Rome to vote.
Pacified.
In that case, that is the end of our mandatory initial business. Given
Master of Horse,
which I believe I can do at any stage.
don't delay it. I think that makes things easier if you do it up front.
Fine.
Technically supposed to be appointed same time as dictator.
Is that what it says in the rules?
It says that in the selection of the Senate phase in our cheat sheet, dictator appoints master of horse, right? It's the same thing before censor.
That's right. He's going to do it now.
Yes, I'll do it now. In that case, I wish to call upon Aurelius from the House of Incognito as a previous war hero to be appointed as my Master of Horse. I wish to hear his martial leadership and his ability to preserve his men on the battlefield, and I wish to have his guidance as we go forth to prosecute any of these wars.
Well, sadly, I can't deny this, so I will accept this. Do not want to be associated with someone who...
Think of it as a step on the road of rehabilitation.
I'll just put it as further into corruption.
You do gain 3 influence, though. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So feel free to please...
It's still not back at 40, though.
No, it's not. But please go ahead and add yourself 3 influence. I've just moved your tokens for you there, Master of Horse.
You.
Sorry, I was away. Who was elected Master of Horse?
Aurelius.
Ah, perfect. Thanks.
Number 19.
While that is going as well, I would like to make a proposal that upon the completion of all initial required business, specifically after the election of any governors, that the floor gets handed over to the current field consul to give the Senate an update on the current status of Rome and all current wars. We saw this in the previous year, and it is a step that I would like to see happen in each further year within the Rome Senate. For this proposal, I would like to hear the pre-Byzantine faction for your votes.
That's 4 votes in favour.
I shall place my 9 votes for this proposal. I'll hear from the House of Julii.
15 votes in favour.
I'll hear from Fortune's Despair.
7 in favour.
I'll hear from the House of Incognita.
I'd just like to clarify, what was this proposal for?
That at the end of all initial required business within the Senate phase, specifically at the end of electing new governorships, that the floor gets handed over to the field consul to give the Senate an update on the current status of Rome and any wars that may be preceding them.
10 against, as I believe the dictator should know what's going on.
I'll hear from the erudite faction.
Veto.
I wish.
Can I abstain?
You can.
Yes. All right, Scriber, I'll...
How many votes
10.
abstaining?
I will hear from the scriber.
From Fortunatus Display, that's 7 in favour.
Did the proposal pass?
Oh, sorry, I see what we're waiting for. 38 in favour, 10 against, and 10 abstaining, so the motion's
All right,
carried.
thank you very much.
9 against. My votes are 1 lower.
9 against, sorry.
Then I will take this moment to hand over the floor to the field console to update the Senate.
Okay, thank you very much, Dictator. As everybody is aware, we have 3 wars active, which with the First Punic War is in its 3rd year. We have the Syrian War, and then we have the Second Macedonian War, which is also a new war. Both the Syrian and Macedonian wars are quite well cashed up, so winning those wars will be quite lucrative for us long term if we have the Pontifex Maximus once again bringing Jupiter on board. We will be looking forward to getting some solid victories there. Sorry, I'm just trying to find in terms of. Did you want me to go through make proposals on raising the armies, or we're just updating?
We're just going through what the current status of
Okay.
our forces, certain wars,
Yep.
any other effects that may be affecting Rome.
I don't believe there are any other effects in terms of. Sorry, my Roll20 is going really slow. In terms of troops, can somebody advise me on how many troops we have? My Roll20 is seized.
That looks like to be 18 regular legions and 2 veteran legions, as
And 2
well
fleets.
as 2 fleets.
All right, I'm just waiting.
So it looks like we have a land
Okay.
army strength of 22.
Okay, so yeah, sorry guys, I've got
Perhaps do a refresh of the entire page. Hit F5.
In that case, I'll step forward and help out our field console. It should also be known that we have a inactive war currently that's also providing a drought effect that we should be quite aware of as well. Looking at our state treasury, I'd probably say we're in a middle to good range at 127 talents. At this stage, we have no manpower shortages, so that should give us a good feelings of where we are for raising any additional legions or perhaps fleets. And our current unrest level is at 3. So that's probably another thing to be well aware of. In that case, my next proposal that I'd like to raise is to hear any nominations if people would like to take up the position of official scriber. Currently, we've had our acting scriber after the great pox plague that's affected the initial old scriber. I hear for nominations now.
I'm happy to nominate the Fortunatus Despair faction to continue, although I'll add a small caveat to that, if you can just slow down rushing to the votes, because I need to get the actual details of the proposal down
Yes,
first.
of course.
But there may be somebody with greater skills than I who wishes to jump in.
You've done a great job.
Yes.
We all agree. You're a wise sage.
If there is no one else who wishes to put forward their senators, then I'll put forward the proposal that the Fortunes Despair continues on their scribal duties Fortune's Despair, I'll hear your vote for the proposal.
7 in favour.
I'll hear from House Incognita.
So I'll abstain with my 9.
The Erudite faction.
10 votes for.
Pre-Byzantine.
4 votes in favour.
I shall place my 9 votes for. And House of Julii.
15 votes for.
Next.
45 in favour and 9 against.
All right, thank you very much. And I congratulate the Fortune to Spare on continuing their most valuable role towards the Senate. Thank you. My next proposal that I need to raise with the Senate is we are reaching close to the end of the early phase of Rome, and we may be proceeding into the Middle Ages of our great republic. It should be up for discussion if we wish to continue into the Middle Republic deck, or should we see to the end of our games. So I'm going to place forward a vote. The vote will be for 1 vote per player, and if there is anyone who do not wish to continue into the Middle Ages, then we will be ending the game at the end of the early deck.
Can I suggest that Decimus gets a vote as well?
Look, so for me, I guess, you know, my opinion is I'd love to see this continue. I'd love to see this continue right and through to what we call the optional 4th deck called the Civil War deck, which isn't a part of the published set of cards, but somebody had produced to continue to supplement this game. But and I'd actually requested that the HRAO bring this up with you. Now that you guys have seen the gameplay, you understand the length and the level of complexity or dedication that's involved. We are coming up to a natural, what could be a natural finish point in the game. Now, some of you have probably, you know, I don't know, I haven't spoken, had the opportunity to speak to all of you, but some of you may think, you know what, this was actually probably way too much for what I was thinking, and perhaps I'd like to see the end of the game. But who knows? Maybe you're all really dedicated. Maybe you want to see one more era and get into the Middle Republic, and then consider it again at the end of that era. So I haven't looked. There's probably about, I haven't counted the cards, but there's probably about 2 turns worth, roughly about 2 turns. Noting it depends on event draws and whatever, to conclude, I guess, the end of the early Republic. And I guess to recall, the way that an era ends is the draw of the end of era card, which is somewhere in the last 6 cards of the deck. Now, if you choose to play on to the Middle Republic, what we call as a part of the extended campaign, that card won't be in there. I won't put it in. And so you'll just see a seamless transition into the Middle Republic. But I did want to make this up, just make it, you know, formal, just to double check that everybody is in fact still on board. And as you see, that the dictator hasn't necessarily put that through as a normal proposal, because if there's one person that doesn't want to see it continue, then that sort of, you know, puts the damper on things, right? But if everyone is on board, then we'll solidify that with a formal proposal just for the records. But yeah, I just wanted everybody to know that we are coming up to what could be a concluding point. But if you'd like to continue, and I certainly hope you do, I'd love to see us continue to the Middle Republic. Then now is that time to consider that.
Probably also worth stating it.
Sorry.
I was just all I was going to state is, as someone who has played through all 3 decks, I'm interested to see what this 4th deck is like. But the gameplay will develop as we'll see a lot less wars, and we'll see a lot more intrigue cards, assassinations, and
cards.
We will.
You've got to see lore cards as well.
We will start to see senators drop. This is where the backstabbing, the dealing, the wheeling, holding.
So just like then, before.
but
You'll-
it's going to affect everyone. It
You'll
really
often
is.
That's fine by
see,
me.
and our friend Poach Trout here as well in the chat, you'll often see a lot of other people actually start at the Middle Republic when they play this game to get past all the riff-raff and the wars in the early Republic, because it is quite difficult. But yes, the gameplay does start to change a little bit, and the dynamics certainly change. There's many more governorships to consider. Very fascinating intrigue cards that start to pop up. The dynamics of events start to change. All that sort of good caper. So here's us. For those that were unsure, we're trying to sell it to you so that you continue.
All right. Would anyone like to state anything before we go through the formal vote procedure?
Oh, if anyone does. Oh.
You go ahead.
If anyone does want to leave, I have other friends from my gaming groups who may well want to join. Take over. Take over somebody's position.
One way to solve problems.
Yeah.
I think we need a new sensor.
I like
My
the
question was,
confidence to get in through these next wars.
what's the view in the chat? What's the audience thinking?
The chat is certainly very keen to see this continue.
100 Twitch bits and we'll continue.
Yes,
20
pay
gifted
now
subs.
to see this continue. Hey, your subscription has expired. And there's certainly good
20%
reviews.
off gifted subs, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, 20% off gifted subs in September. Yeah, and look, certainly there's been some good reviews on YouTube. There's not a great deal of playthrough videos of this game online. They're a little bit hard to come across. And certainly with ours and that of Poach Trout's game that's been going on, we're finally starting to see some really good detailed playthroughs from different areas. So this is actually really good for any future games for people to learn through the dynamics as well. And this year's has been very fascinating, and it has been has now started to be quite successful compared to the unfortunate events of last year's game. So, there's certainly lots of motivation to see this continue, particularly to get into the Middle Republic.
Well, all I can say is I've been watching the Rome TV show, and they got the Civil War, and it's got me enthused.
Thanks for the posture check, Unknown Star. Everybody check your posture. Everyone's sitting up lovely. There we go.
All right. Anyone else wanted to state anything at this stage? If not, then I'll go forward to hear the votes for the proposal, the pre-Byzantine.
One vote, I guess, in favour to keep playing, correct? Yep.
I'll place my one player vote for. I hear from House Julii.
One vote for.
Fortune's Despair.
One vote for.
House of Incognita.
Let's see the world burn. Let's keep it going.
And the Erudite faction.
One vote for.
Lovely. You guys have made my day.
Cheers.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Christmas in September.
You better get your backs armored, guys, because when we get backstabbing, I'll be doing it.
We're going to get past Hannibal and Hamilcar yet.
Yes.
I'll just claim my veto as well.
In that case, we'll start going through and looking at awarding some medals. I think my notes have some of these medals going to the wrong spot. I think there's a medal that is for a flawless victory. Should actually be going to the Iranian War, if I'm not mistaken. The dictator did have a single loss. Therefore, the dictator and master of horse would not be receiving that medal.
Okay, I may have potentially got the wrong way around.
The Illyrian War did have no losses.
It was the Illyrian War, so that's an easy change. So by all means, good pick up there, dictator. So make sure you're awarding the correct medals to the correct individuals.
Yep. I'll correct my notes on the fly.
Good job.
I'll now call for the war hero Aemilius to step forward. I wish to present 2 medals for his great service, both to his own men and for Rome. I am presenting him the War Campaign Medal for the Iranian War, as well as I get the correct wording for it, the Eagle of Supremacy Medal for conducting the war without a single loss of legion or fleet.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'd like to thank you guys for that. Just, make sure to keep it a bit more civilized.
I shall pass over these medals to your area now. There we go. At this stage, I'll also be awarding myself the Gallic War Campaign Medal, and I'll be awarding the same medal to my Master of Horse, Julius, who I believe is from the Erudite faction, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
There we go. So make
Oh,
sure
great.
you pin your medals on your senators. So like Fabius is doing over there. You can either have it on the left or the right hand side. It doesn't matter. Although if you're going to do it right, remember you always wear your medals over your heart, so it'll be on to the right of your senator's card or their left. if you want to go, if you'll be really serious. There we go.
All right. I believe that is all of my minor proposals that I had planned for this Senate. I will open the floor if anyone would like to raise an idea for a proposal at this stage.
What about concessions?
Ah, yes. We'll get to that as well. The Senate has 3 open concessions at this stage. Actually, speaking of concessions, now that the prosecutions have been completed, I'll have everyone remove their corrupt or major markers
Good pickup.
from their senators.
Yes, hide all the corrupt bars on your concessions. That's right, and remove all your red tokens. We forget that every time. We never quite get it.
Wasn't forgotten when someone else was censored.
That's a challenge for the next censor to remember as a part of their duties when they conclude their proceedings to remember to have everyone clear their corruptions. I'll look after Julius's corruption token there. Oop.
I think just on the comments of the previous censor, we cleared Flaminius's corruption through death, so easy to remember, I guess.
Well, it's easy to remember when you've played the role so much.
So looking at the concessions that we have 2 pretty common concessions, as in Farmer Concession 5 and Tax Farmer 5 and Tax Farmer 6, but also an extremely valuable ship building, as it is likely that Rome will be raising a number of fleets going into the next phase. So stepping back and having a look at the Senate as a whole, I see House Julii does not have any concession cards.
Nope.
And I see that the House of Incognita also currently does not have any concession cards. So I'm going to be looking forward to doing a joint proposal that will be issuing those 2 factions with the 2 sets of tax farmer concessions. At this stage, I'll hear from each of the faction leaders to announce which one of their senators they would wish to receive the concessions.
Okay.
I'll hear from House Julii first.
Okay. The newest member for the House of Julii, Terentius, being a junior senator, would like to step forward and look after the collection of taxes from the farmers in that particular way.
I'll hear from House Incognita.
I believe Flaminius should get Tax Farmer 5, as that was his father's own profits. And I believe he should be able to take the reins.
His father who died from corruption.
From the own Senate themselves, not even himself.
that case, I'll put forward a proposal that Flaminius be issued Tax Farmer 5 and that Tarentus from the House of Julii be issued the Tax Farmer 6 concession. I will hear from the House of Julii for this proposal first.
15 votes for.
I will hear from Fortune's Despair.
7 in favour.
I'll hear from the House of Incognita.
9 votes for.
I'll hear from the Erudite faction.
10 votes for.
I'll hear from the Pre-Byzantine.
4 votes in favour.
And I shall place my 9 votes for the proposal. Scriber, I will hear the results from the proposal.
$54 in favour.
All right, thank you. I'll have those senators collect their concessions. Now, the next and last concession up for discussion, as I stated before, is a extremely valuable one, which will be the shipbuilding concession.
I was going to say that Plateus would like to have his concession back. The Plateus Jr. would like to be considered.
I actually had a fairly democratic suggestion here. Now that everyone has a concession, since there's 6 factions, why don't we roll a 1d6 to see who it's assigned to?
Well, I do like the idea of a democratic way. I think that would lead to poor leadership. We don't leave.
Leaders don't care about the people having an equal chance. Okay, that's fair enough, Dictator. I'm not criticizing.
Why do you think I was put in office? Why do you think I was prosecuted?
Maybe you're right.
Mm.
No criticism here, Dictator. I'm just simply
Equity versus equality.
Yes, yes.
I don't see any equality currently.
Well, we're all equal. That's why I suggested the tiebreaker role, I guess, in terms of fairness.
Can I just propose an alternate take? The tax farmer that went to Julii, after all, was Fortuna's Despair before the epidemic.
True.
Can I just
courier.
say that it was originally House of Julii before it was stolen by the Fortuna's Despair.
I don't know if stolen is the word I would use, but
this bickering is exactly what I was trying to prevent.
But of course, this is the Senate, where bickering must be held.
When it comes to money, cheap politics.
I would just like to point out my perfect record of donating to the needs of the state treasury.
In that case, I'm going to put forward a proposal that Papyrus receive the shipbuilding concession. I'll hear from the House of Julii for this vote.
Sorry, which faction was that? I apologize.
For the Fortune Despair.
Fortune Despair, yep.
Yes, Papirius ID 11, Fortuna's Despair.
Thank you.
Yes. I'll hear from the House of Julii.
Well, with my fellow consul, I'll be voting 15 votes for.
Fortune's Despair, I'll hear your vote.
7 in favour.
House of Incognita.
I'll abstain.
The Erudite faction.
10 votes for.
I'll return to the House of Incognita to confirm the number of votes he's abstaining.
9.
Thank you. And the Pre-Byzantine faction.
4 votes against.
I shall place my 9 votes for. Scriber, I'll hear the results.
$41 in favour, 4 against, 9 abstained.
the proposal is passed. I'll allow the Senator to come and collect his concession.
Thank you. Done.
All right, thank you. In that case, I will go back to opening the floor if there's anyone who would like to suggest any minor proposals at this stage.
Nope.
If there are none, then we will proceed on to discussing matters of war. So I'm of two minds when it comes to our current war state. One side is we can issue all of Rome's current might into the prosecution of the Punic War. It will be a very difficult battle, and most certainly for a better chance of victory, sending multiple commanders, reminding everyone that you cannot roll a same disaster or stalemate against the same war in the same year. But we are still up against quite a number of those rolls that will lead to defeat. And with each defeat, as we know with the disaster, is the loss of half. If we're sending a sizable force to the Punic War, such as 20 legions, a half loss would be quite devastating. But perhaps that is a risk that we must take. The other half of my mind is we continue to prosecute the minor wars, continue to grow in strength and power. This is with the idea of if we are to draw the Second Punic War, it will become an imminent war, and we will not see the additive effect of it interacting with the First Punic War until the year after next. So we would have another opportunity next year to prosecute the Punic War at its current strength, regardless of what would come in the next year.
May I ask you a point of order really quickly?
Of course.
So, Decimus, with our deceased Scipio Africanus, is there a chance he'll be coming back in a certain amount of time or anything? Like, how's that work? Or since he's in the Curia, if I'm correct? Or
Unless one of you trains in the art of clerisy and the raising of the undead, no, he will not be coming back.
he's out. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, just confirm he's in the discard pile.
Correct.
Okay,
That is
yeah.
the discard pile. That is correct. Now, you can freely look through the discard pile at any time, but note that no cards will be coming back from that pile.
Sorry. Yep, perfect. Thank you.
What if we level up the Pontifex Maximus? Can we use a level 10 spell of...
Revive it.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Perhaps, is there any wish law cards that we will be drawing?
The Pontifex Maximus wishes to state he's not against dark arts.
Now, let's talk about matching wars a little bit more. So, right, as the dictator's pointed out, which is good, if you draw that in the next turn, it's an imminent war first, and that goes for any war that already has an existing matching war in the active or unprosecuted box. So if there is a matching one, it sits in that imminent wars box and waits there until the subsequent turn. So it gives you a turn to think about what you're going to do with it. Because they are very costly. Now, they only, when you get a matching war, in this case the Second Punic War, it only doubles the strength of the land and sea strength. So the fleet support remains unchanged. So if you have a Second Punic War card out, the First Punic War becomes 20 in base strength and 20 in fleet strength, but you only still need a minimum of 5 in fleet support, but that's kind of by the by because you'll have a massive navy anyway. Well, you won't need it because you've got the naval victory, right? So you'll only need the 5 vessels as a minimum to be able to prosecute that land war. But you'll need to note, of course, that you have the enemy leaders. Now, they're not doubled, but they are still added to the doubled value. So if the Second Punic War is out, first thing you need to note is you must prosecute the wars in order. So you can't fight the Second Punic War first and then the first. The first Punic War with the second Punic Warrior will become strength 30, which will be 10, which is doubled to 20, plus 7, plus 3. So it'll be a 30 strength war.
And I believe that's only when the second becomes active? Or is it
Only
even...
when the second becomes active.
Yes, yes. So we would have that additional turn to react.
Correct.
Can I just ask, Dictator, in terms of the legion count, do we have enough legions to take on the Punic War and manage the dice risk outside of the disaster and stalemate rolls?
Certainly, we would, if we were going to go through what I believe is the right decision with sending 2 separate armies, we would have the legions required. Only noting we would have to raise at least an additional 8 fleets to support 5 each. Unfortunately, we won't be able to have the same fleet support both armies.
It might be more favourable to fight the 2 smaller wars, yes. Since the current dictator, does he not fight well against the Macedonian? Yeah, nullifies disasters and standoffs, so that would be in our favour to clear that one, and the Syrian war, which is quite a low value, noting that we would, defeating both, receive 90 gold compared to only 35 against the uphill battle in the Punic War.
It's also worth noting that we could go and fight in the First Aurelian War as well, which I believe is a...
Correct.
Revolt.
But we won't get any gold value. If I remember correctly,
Correct.
this is a... I forgot what the correct
Revolt.
term...
Correct.
Revolt, yes. But certainly, they would get rid of this drought effect.
Correct.
And that is a fairly simple war. And this would have... Yes, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, what was the drought doing again? Was it destroying our taxonomic concessions?
No, it's it'll add to your unrest level at the appropriate point.
Unrest. Yep. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
So is the proposal then that we would activate the other war?
I think
and
it's...
take on the Macedonian and Syrian wars.
I think it's a possibility with the large army that we currently have. We could certainly discuss possibly prosecuting up to 3 wars this turn. But perhaps we'll start with discussing the 2 and then see if we have additional strength. But I think we should also confirm what it would look like if we were to send 2 armies to the first Punic War and just have a bit of a feel of where we are with that currently. Obviously, there are no ways currently that the Senate has to mitigate any of these negative rolls, which are 7 in total. So 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. Quite a few rolls that we would have. If we were to send 2 armies, discounting the legions, we would need to raise 8 fleets, which would give us an additional 4 more legions we could raise. We currently have a force strength of 22, so let's say if we did raise another 4, that would give us up to 26. 26 plus, say, a 9 for the Master of Horse plus Dictator. Let me start trying to write any of this down. So 26 plus the 9, 35, plus the military strength of the field consul, which would be controlling
3.
Mm.
the second army, which would be 3. So we would have a 38. So if we halve that, given both armies equal chance with the land values,
19.
so we would have 19 strength sent against the 20. I don't think we can, in that case, I don't think we can send, because that would actually give us a -1 to the roll, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So, given that information, if we were to prosecute the first Punic War, we could only send 1 army and then the dice would be our main enemy. With that in mind, I think I'm leaning more towards the idea of prosecuting the minor wars first, using this additional year to continue to build up forces, particularly build up the required fleets.
Mhm.
And then... Yep, go on.
If we do that, though, and use the strengths of the dictator this year, but let's say we win, we eliminate 2 or 3 of the wars, we wouldn't have the benefit of the dictator and the master of force for the Punic War, would we?
That is what it would seem. I think I would like to confirm with the rules, because I thought the leaders did add to the 20 rule.
Sorry, what's the question?
We just wanted to confirm the requirements to allow to appoint a dictator. I was just calling for a point of order if the leaders did or did not count for the 20 strength of the army.
So you can look in the rule book, but I'm pretty sure it does not include the enemy. It's the base figure strength in its own right, but it's also cumulative with the C strength. So technically speaking, I spoke a little bit out of turn before when I said that the second prerequisite wasn't met. It actually is in part. Normally, if you didn't have the naval victory marker, so the 10 land strength and the 10 sea strength would be 20, and therefore that would be a condition to appoint a dictator. But in this case here, where you have a naval victory marker, you've only got a 10 base strength value, so therefore that second condition is not met. But of course, we had the 3 or more active wars, so that was what permitted the dictator in this case here. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, the enemy leaders don't add to that. But I'm happy to look that up as we go on.
So reading 1.09.3 dictator, if and only if Rome is facing 3 or more active wars, or 1 with a combined land and sea strength of at least 20, a dictator may be appointed immediately. A naval victory marker reduces the naval strength of the war to 0 for this purpose. So in this case, because of the 0 that is down, I don't see if it removes leadership card. Like I always interpreted this rule to say like the leaders are adding to the land strength of the war.
And that's certainly right. When you read about enemy leaders, that's certainly what is articulated, saying it's adding to the land strength. And by that virtue alone, that may look, it makes sense from the rules intent that if you've got a war card that has been plussed up by enemy leaders or enemy generals, it makes the war harder to prosecute and more dangerous, and therefore warrants the appointing of a dictator. So I think if you were to interpret when you read the enemy leader rule, so you're right, as you guys are sort of saying here, that in fact, and I certainly and now believing that the enemy leaders will add to that strength value, and if that equates to 20, then that would warrant the appointment of a dictator.
Yep. So barring divine intervention from better, more knowing forces outside of the Senate, I believe if we were to prosecute the other minor wars, reducing the total number of active wars that Rome faces to below 3, that the threat faced by the First Punic War would still mandate the Senate to appoint a dictator.
Okay. So if we're acting under the assumption that next year...
Can I just ask another question?
Sure.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say... no, you go ahead. That's right.
No, you go ahead.
My question was just going to be about war age.
Yep.
So the war age is 3 on the Punic War. And I think we lose at 6? Is that right?
Correct. So at the end of a combat phase, if a war has 6 or more, which wouldn't happen, but if it reaches the age of 6 at the end of the combat phase and if it's still there, then right, you will lose.
So my concern is the longer we leave it, the less wiggle room we get.
Yes.
And if we lose on one expedition and then lose on another expedition, which is, there's almost a 50-50 chance of losing.
Yes.
So we might need a few bites of this cherry, as ugly as that would be. When do we start biting?
So, well, how many forces will we need to raise to fight this Punic War now? Is the question.
If we were to send one army,
Well,
I don't think.
Yeah.
If we were to send one army, I don't think we'll basically wouldn't. We've got 22 strength. We probably want to at least get to the around the +10 where we were for the previous year. We'll need to raise 3 fleets to match the support. So that will give us, to be honest, the 3. That will give us what 9 additional forces to raise.
I just want to bring up as well that don't forget, and what we've seen in previous instances is that you'll often see senates raising more fleets for fleet support, so that should you encounter a disaster or a standoff where you lose fleets, you'll still end up with a minimum number of fleet support. So you've got the option that the proconsul could continue on with that war should you so choose. Because you remember that even though you may have fought the war, if you don't have the adequate fleet support, then that war is then considered unprosecuted and it adds to your tally. So take that into your considerations as well, that if you really want to save 20 talents in the case that you don't win a victory, then having additional fleet support should you take fleet losses will ensure that the war is considered prosecuted at the end of the combat phase.
My main criticism against fighting the Punic War would be, obviously, as we have it's not 6, 7, disaster and standoff numbers, that we might be putting ourselves in a position where we're quite weak to prosecute the other wars and the revolts. That's going to be too resource intensive for us to come back from that, perhaps, because our treasury is only, 127 at the moment. So if we lose a lot of forces, what position will we be in then? As much as I do agree that we do have to get this Punic War out of the way, it's just a simple matter of efficiency, I guess.
And it obviously would be worth noting that defeating these 2 wars now would be an additional 90 talents to the treasury.
Plus, well, technically as well.
I'm leading in favour of that approach, as long as we know that this really is the last season that we can lead the Punic War.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Given the vision of a second Punic War arriving next year, then we have to bite the bullet at that stage. There is no ifs or buts. Roll the dice. The very future of Rome will be left into the hands of the commanders the next year.
Would we have enough to prosecute the Illyrian War as well and go for the 3 smaller ones? What kind of numbers would we need?
So we'd need 5 more fleets at least. Oh, sorry.
And that's running minimum fleets though, isn't it?
We need 8 fleets, I believe.
And that's just the bare minimum.
Yeah. So that will allow us to raise 3 additional forces, if I'm not mistaken, onto our 22. So that'll give us a total legion strength of 25. We would have a dictator at 9. We'll have the field at 4, I believe. 3. And what is the strength of the Rome consul? 1.
How much is the drought for the unrest level?
-1.
Oh, that's not even that bad. I wouldn't even care about the revolt. We don't even get any. We don't get any gold.
No.
The amount of resources we'd have to invest would be a net negative in terms of, I guess, you balance the fleets versus how much we have to pay to get out of
turn, we would actually have to fight it.
Yeah, it's going to come up as a revolt next turn.
Yeah. Okay. Then perhaps we just focus our discussion on prosecuting the 2 wars.
Yep.
I think, given the dictator's specific area of study being Macedonian combat, I think it goes without saying that we'll be sending the dictator and master horse to the Macedonian War. given that we are aiming for a +10 to the strength, so we would be aiming for a 26, minus a 9 for the Dictator and Master of Horse. That would be 17 legions we would be given to that force.
It'd be the same for the Syrian war.
Yes, it would.
Be 11.
Just don't forget as well, and I think you've already sort of worked it out anyway, that the maximum amount of legions that you can raise for Rome is only what is available in the force pool. So you can't raise any more than what's there.
Okay.
So if there's not a token, then you can't raise it.
I assume we also can't have
You
a
can only raise
standard
7.
and veteran.
So
Because I think physically in the game they've flipped tokens of each other.
Correct.
Yes.
So so if a veteran exists, then you can't then also have the corresponding unflipped token. So you're only limited. I think it's a maximum of 25 legions. I think so. You can't have any more than 25 legions in total at any one time.
In that case, we can only raise an additional 5 more legions for a total strength of 27.
Wow.
And
Okay.
how many would we need? Sorry,
34.
just combined 34.
Believe the Macedonian then, as we would be able to get rid of that quite quickly.
Well, let me just finish. So it'll be
Well, I guess it would just be better to get rid of the Illyrian War then with leftovers, right?
yeah. So we would send so let's see, we've got fleets is 5 and 2, so we'd raise 5. That would give us an additional 7, which we can't meet. So we'd raise, which will allow us to raise the full 5. So we would have 27 strength, which would be 10. So that would be 13, which would give, perhaps we can't even prosecute the two wars, given all remaining forces, as well as sending the field marshal. That would give them a land strength of 13, which would be a -3 roll. But of course, we can start pulling some forces away from the Dictator of Horses army, which I said is currently a +10. So we can probably go from maybe something like to balance that out. So let's say we got a -3 and a +10. So halfway between that should be what 5 and a 6, or a 6 and a 7.
So that's both at +10. So are you sort of saying if we looked at 7s for both, or?
Yeah. So instead of aiming for a +10, because we can't reach a +10.
Yeah.
We could instead get a +6 and a +7.
Okay.
If I'm not.
So that's okay. So the Syrian is 11.
Actually,
11
no.
minus
Surely that
3.
doesn't make sense. Give me a sec. So -2, 9, 8, -1.
It would
7,
be about a +4
0.
and a +5.
Yeah. 1. I don't even think it's that. 2 and 3. 3 and 4. All right, it's a 3 and a 4 by my quick math. So we can either have a +3 and a +4 to the roll if we prosecute 2 wars, or we prosecute 1 war with like a +10 or a +11.
Yeah, for a board game, there's a lot of math.
So that opens up a lot of more risk of stalemate, doesn't
Yes, so perhaps it's worth going down to our victory.
Yep, combat results
Part of our
table.
Combat results.
So if we're talking about only +3s and +4s to our rolls, even if we roll something like a 9, which is more of like the middle of the board kind of a roll,
Stalemate.
we're still into the stalemate range. Our other option then is we prosecute one of the or I guess I'll split the wars up into the Punic War, which is a major, our 2 moderate wars, which is our plus 16, and then we have our minor revolt. And I know people have stated that the revolt is only giving us the -1, but I think our unrest already being at 3 is kind of scary. Every single unrest level will be affecting us.
But then again, it does go down after you defeat a war.
Mm-hmm. So we could remove a
So we could keep the unrest level at the same, even if we win, we -1, we get those back. It stays the same, no change.
Yep. So we would have 27 strength. We'll be sending 17 to one of the middling wars, which would give us a spare 10 legions plus the 3 from the field marshal that could go and prosecute this revolt, which would be... Yep, go on.
I'm saying statistically we need a +6, right? Statistically, but of course,
Yeah.
roll 20 dice might not listen to the statistics, but I mean, if we're going in with anything +6 is statistically will put you about a 14.
Yep.
So how far up are we then? Apologies, I was just away.
But even if I'm not mistaken, even victory with losses still gives you a popularity drop, or was that only
Well, it depends.
non-victory?
So for a victory, you'll gain popularity, but you'll also take popularity loss for the amount of legions lost as well, right? Based on the formula.
Yeah.
So it may balance out.
Yeah, and a 14 is 4 legions and 4 fleet losses. So that is an expensive war.
So that would be a loss of popularity of 4. All right, so I think we've gotten to 2 possibilities. One, we put all of our forces towards prosecuting the Macedonian War, as I don't believe we can do both the Macedonian and the Syrian War. Because I think we worked out that we would, if we were to have even chances with both, we would only have a +3 or a +4 to those rolls. The other option is we prosecute the Macedonian War as well as the revolt. But noting that the revolt is currently inactive, and its only major drawback is the fact that it is giving this drought effect, and we wouldn't gain any talents from defeating it. And if we were to roll a disaster or a stalemate, it would then become active.
And there's a third option as well, which we go after the Punic War. If the efficiency dividend of going after the 2 active wars is no longer there, I think we should reconsider the Punic War.
Agreed.
Noting that if we manage to knock it off, we'll probably roll up the 3rd war anyway very quickly. We're back in the same position of strength that we find ourselves right now.
Yeah. I think we're at that. We still can't send the 2 armies to the Punic, so we'd still have the 1, and then it'll be the 1 army. We would have the legions to give ourselves. Because what did I say? We're maximum at +27. So we're 27 versus. Okay, but we also have the 9 from the Dictator and Master of Horse. So we would have enough legions to have above the +10 for our roll. So it would just be down to the disaster or stalemate rolls.
I personally think that with the, putting ourselves in a weak position against the other wars if we fight the Punic, simply because there's the 7, disaster and standoff. So I think we'd be way too weak, overexposing ourselves fighting that.
But it's not going to go away, though.
You're right. And I guess that's why, my suggestion would be that, with the Dictator being trained against the Macedonians, that hopefully we can clear those, get a bit of money, because obviously we get the net from defeating the war, and we wouldn't lose the money from them being unprosecuted. So it's
But isn't the issue the fact that even if we had more money, we still couldn't raise more troops because there's just not enough people in Rome.
Well, I think that was only against the 2 wars, right? So that next year we would be able to solidify under the 1 banner, sending the dictator and the Rome consul.
No, I think
the 4 legions. I thought it was that we didn't have enough against the 2 to have the.
I think initially I had forgotten the actual maximum limit of what forces we could actually raise from the people of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
If the Punic War's strength is 20, then we're even in a worse case, because it's basically considered 2 wars if we were to send 2 armies against the same one. So it'd be 20 and 20. We could never get to a point of having a good roll twice. So it's true that whatever forces we send now would have the same number of chances as next year. It's just down to how good of a footing would the rest of Rome have. Would we be in a better spot to roll the disaster now, or better spot to roll the disaster next turn?
How pessimistic are you all?
I think, for the best, we have to consider the worst case option for the survival of Rome. I think I'm leaning towards going after the Macedonian War.
So that would be 16 less 9.
And then I'm interested in hearing if we should then go and try to prosecute the revolt at the same time and utilize all the legions at our disposal.
So the revolt is currently what? 5?
5?
5
With
and 3 fleets.
Yes.
I guess to me it's the we could fight the Punic War now, and if we lose, we're in a very weak state next year. But if we lose the Punic War next year, aren't we just doomed then?
If we draw
I think so.
Yeah.
So I guess then we're putting ourselves right in the corner, because we don't have any outs.
That is
if
true.
we lose the Punic War this year, we have the door remains open and crack to retrieve it.
Mm-hmm.
But if we lose it next year,
Because that gives you got 3.
Continuing the game tonight was a moot point.
You got three more combat phases essentially to consider fighting the Punic War, right?
I thought we had 2.
So it only ages during the mortality phase. So it'll age to 4 in the next year. So there's that combat phase. 5 the next year, there's that combat phase. Then there's the next one at 6. You've still got an opportunity to fight it in its 6th year. Then if you lose against then you're doomed, right? So you got three more opportunities to fight that first Punic War.
That makes me a little bit more positive.
And what were the options again about taking out a leader? When's that?
That's, I believe, at the end of the Senate phase, if any of their leaders are in the Curia.
It's a pipe dream for you guys right now.
Right, okay. I was about to send some wine up to them.
Well, just to further my own thoughts, I think that if we do have those 3, possibilities to win this, I would hope that, prosecuting maybe the Macedonian War and the revolt, if we have enough troops, then would give us, 2 solid opportunities for the next 2 years, which I'm comfortable with.
Yep.
Just putting forward my own perspective for everyone.
I think it's also worth noting that perhaps we haven't done a good job at putting forth what would be the worst case scenario. Say that we send our dictator, who would get a stalemate or a disaster, not be able to return to Rome to do his State of the Republic address, which with a high popularity would have the Rome consul take over that position. We should look to ensure that Rome consuls be ready to take up that position with a high popularity in case the dictator does not return, possibly alive.
But we can change the Rome consul, right? It's not the current Rome consul.
It'll be the current Rome consul as of
Oh.
now that would do if the dictator didn't return.
Okay.
Because there will be that is done before the Senate phase. Yes. So it's done in
Okay. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So that might be something that's worth considering if we're starting to look at punching our head against the Punic War possibly multiple times.
Yep. Yeah, but if we don't prosecute the Punic War now, then we can set that up for the next turn, right?
Yeah.
So that okay.
But I'd certainly hear you, and your words have swayed me a lot more towards possibly prosecuting this Punic War, because it is true. Like it isn't going to get any better, and it's going to be a fair bit worse once, if we do fail next year, having that plus 10, which will be a plus 30. That would literally be every serving member of Rome in a possible disaster, which will be half our forces.
And secondly, if we draw the second Punic War next year, I know it's another year before it falls, but that's basically going to dictate everything we do for the next 2 years. So all the other wars will be, we won't be able to do anything about it, which if we draw another one, we could end up with 4.
Yeah.
Because we're locked into the Punic Wars for the next 3 years. So.
Yep.
Well, we've had it from the start, so I'm leaning towards prosecuting the Punic War with everything we've got.
I'm kind of leaning towards. Yep, go on. Sorry.
That's all right. I was just going to say I understand the rational arguments to possibly go for the Macedonians, but my heart says let's knock the Punics out.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to feel that too.
Well, I'd never not let war get to my head, so let's go for it.
All right. Because of the importance of this decision, I would also like to hear from the remainder of the factions. The erudite faction.
I think that both arguments put forward have been valid. I do agree that we are leaning towards the first Punic War. Is that what we were leaning towards?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I thought that was probably going to be, a good idea. I was hoping to maybe, I don't know, even roll the dice.
We'll save those. Save those 6s.
Yeah.
Who rolled last time? Was it Marco?
Furious.
Curious?
Yeah.
They had good luck last time. Maybe they should roll again.
I believe my roll with no losses was pretty good.
He's got the medal to prove it.
It is all true, but unfortunately the fate is always in the hands of the commander who's sent. And I'll not be handing over that fate to anyone else.
What about your Master of Horse?
No.
That's worth a shot.
Commander's duty. It's a lonely job at the top, isn't it?
Yep.
In that case, I think the Senate is now in agreement. Let's go forth with the hard decision, a decision that has put us in the chairs that we sit today. We will be looking to prosecute the Punic War with the full might that the Republic of Rome can lay to bear.
Once more into the breach.
With that in mind, given...
Shit! Oh my god! The cat just knocked over the part of the table. Sorry.
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
I'm
I hope that's not a harbinger of what's to come.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Holy dooly.
Can we just get some Pontifex Maximus consultation on the omens, please?
Guys, I think we should fight the Macedonian War. Change course. Is your cat black, Marco?
Black and white.
No, but it's called Hannibal.
That's kind of hard. It's called Hannibal. Oh, God. Let me flip a coin on this. Okay.
Given that worst outcome from prosecuting this war would be a loss of half of our legions and fleets. I think even in that worst case scenario, it would be important that we send enough supporting fleets to continue to rally against the war and to not have it considered unprosecuted.
Yep.
So I believe we should raise an additional 8 fleets to bear a total of 10. I'll hear from the Erudite faction.
10 votes for.
Sorry,
No.
Sorry.
Yep.
I can't make a point of order here.
Yep.
The vote's already started, so I don't think you can.
Okay.
The pre-Byzantine, I'll hear your vote.
So I get. Sorry, what's the Pontifex Maximus? I double my votes, correct?
Not on this type of proposal. It's only for sending or recalling forces and commanders from wars.
Apologies. Okay, so that's 4 in favour.
I'll put my 9 in favour. I'll hear from the House of Julii.
15 votes for.
I'll hear from Fortune's Despair.
7 votes in favour.
And I'll hear from the House of Incognita.
I'll go 9-4.
All right, thank you. I hear from the Scriber on the proposal.
54 votes in favour, so the motion is carried.
All right, thank you. The Senate will later bear the commission of 8 additional fleets.
I will adjust the treasury price, money, revenue.
All right, thank you.
And of course, our shipbuilder gets some perks on that.
Yes, 8, so 16.
So
2 each, right? Or was it 3?
3 each. So 3 times.
24.
Yeah, there you go. So
24.
Papirius, make sure you grab yourself some money for that and make yourself corrupt on that concession.
Jeez.
All right.
That might be good to be donated back. Just doing a bit of politicking while we're going to war, guys.
You know, if it's not donated, I think some prosecution needs to happen.
Some assassinations, perhaps.
Minor ones.
Yeah,
No,
minor.
major.
Minor. Also, I'd just like to read out before we go to war. I do have a prayer ready as Pontifex Maximus. So
Excellent, excellent. So this gives us an additional treasury of 47. Now we need to discuss if we want to raise any additional legions. Currently, we've got a strength of 22. With the 9, they'll give us a 31, which will give us a plus 11 to our roll, which I believe would be, let's have a look. It would definitely be a victory, but let's confirm where we are. If we were to roll a 3, which is the minimum, that would put us up to a 14, correct?
Yeah.
11? That'll be a victory with losses. If we were to raise an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, it would be a guaranteed win, no losses, on a rolling a 3.
okay, let's do it. Still
How
boys
many
and girls.
legions was that?
4.
If we would raise 4 legions, it would
Yeah,
be a guarantee win, no losses, given the roll of the dice. All right. I don't hear any discontent from the Senate, so I'll put forward the proposal that we use the remainder of the state treasury to raise an additional 4 legions, that will give us a total of 24 legions, 2 of them being veterans. I will hear from the House of Incognita.
9-4.
Erudite faction.
10 votes for.
Pre-Byzantine.
4 votes for.
I'll place my 9 votes for. I'll hear from the House of Julii.
15 votes for.
And Fortune's Despair.
That's 7 votes for, so the motion is carried 54 zip.
All right, thank you very much. I will go and raise the legions.
Very good.
The two in the bottom are our ones that we cannot select due to the fact that they are veterans.
Good work.
Yes, I noticed that. Thank you. Oop, I think I zoomed out too far. Let's see how this goes.
We've got one legion left.
They're
Yes.
all the
25 is our
ones that
final
failed their
legion.
induction course.
How many men are in a legion?
About 6,000, roughly.
Oh, jeez, it's a fair few.
Yeah, it's never truly about that number. So you think there's about 80 men to a century, and then there are 6 centuries to a cohort, and then there are 10 cohorts in a legion.
Ooh. Thank you. So it's 1 in 1,200. 1,200.
4,800 roughly.
And then we have the 10 fleets.
Yeah,
This
right.
is we are bear witness. We are bear
might.
witness to the largest military force ever raised on the known world.
If only the Gauls knew there was nobody left at home in Rome.
No. Fabius is standing there himself on the
Yes.
border. That's what you elected me for.
All right.
Then
Let's
I
go to
think
war.
there's only one more proposal remaining, and that is the dictator and his master of horse be assigned the combined forces of Rome, being 10 fleets and 24 legions, 2 of which being veterans, go forth and prosecute the First Punic War. I will hear from Fortune's Despair.
7 votes and infinite good thoughts.
I think
I'll
you
hear
get.
from-
I think you get 8 because you're a priest, right?
My priest is dead.
Oh,
R.I.P.
Just keep that in mind, Pontifex Maximus.
Thank you. I will.
I'll hear from the House of Incognita.
9-4.
I'll hear from the Erudite faction.
10 votes for.
I'll hear from the pre-Byzantine faction.
6 votes in favour.
I'll hear from the House of Julii.
16 votes for.
And before I cast my own votes, I'll just give the opportunity for the Pontius Maximus to present any prayers from Jupiter at this stage.
Thank you. Here's a prayer that I believe is from Virgil's Aeneid, so it's historically accurate, though I have slightly edited it to reflect our current circumstances. Jupiter Almighty, if you do not yet detest every Roman to a man, if you still regard our pious acts of old, Father, grant that the flames will now avoid our fleet, and may you pull the diminished people of Rome away from destruction. Or else, if you so deserve, then send forth your thunderbolt from above and cast those Carthaginians into death, and by your power rightly bury them. Thank you.
Wow. Moving words.
Huzzah!
Thank you. In that case, I shall cast the final vote for the proposal of 9 votes for. Scriber, I'll
Nobody will be
hear the
surprised
results.
to find that it's a total of 54 in votes of a thunderous victory and none against.
Struth Almighty. And that will then close the Senate phase as well. Just for the Dictator and Master of Horse, I've just popped your purple at-war tokens and your Away from Rome banners that you can throw over your Senators now, although the Dictator and Master of Horse tokens are really go on your commanders up near the war card, so if you want to put them there instead. So you can leave your normal Dictator and Master of Horse tokens on your Senators in Rome, and just for our benefit, we'll put the at-war tokens on your commanders up on the near the war cards. If somebody also wants to drag up and get the logistics moving on the entire forces, just be careful about your click and drags. Don't take anything that you shouldn't. Take small handfuls, perhaps. That might be wise.
No, I'm going all in.
Good. Okay.
And Sulpicius is just trudging home now after hearing he's basically left behind to guard Rome with the peasants and the last 6,000.
the sick and the young.
He's waving away. He's waving to the fleets
cowards.
as they leave.
Whereas Papyrus is relieved because when he heard he might have to lead an army, he tried picking up a sword for the first time and cut his hands.
Yeah.
Right. There we go. I'll let you guys quickly decide now. Do you want to take your break now before the combat phase, or you want to take it after the revolution phase?
Let's go. Let's fight the war.
Yeah, I think we fight the war now.
Okay.
We know what they say. You should never fight a war on a full bladder. But
What?
Our legions have had plenty of time to urinate.
Yeah, let's let this the anticipation build up. Let's take a quick break now then. So for those in chat, don't go away. We're just going to give our senators 5 minutes to ready themselves and refill their cups of Posca, and relieve themselves for the pending battle, so they don't wet their tunics and Lorica segmentata. So we'll be right back in just a moment. Don't go away. Watch some commercials with us and see you in chat. See you in 5 minutes. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for sticking around during the break there. Just let our senators put on their armour and their helmets, particularly for our dictator and master of horse. They've made a big decision here, I think, and certainly one they have not made lightly, to prosecute the First Punic War. So we are now into the combat phase with the highest ranking available officer and presiding magistrate being sent away, which concludes the Senate phase. And we have a whopping force here to take on that of an equivalent whopping enemy force as well. Big fingers crossed for them. The good news here is that I guess they've said their prayers to Upada, yes, and hope he's on their side. Unfortunately, the dictator is unable to apply his nullified disaster standoffs here, because that only applies to the Macedonian wars. So it's it looks pretty daunting. There's a lot of disaster and standoff numbers there, and essentially they don't want to roll any of them. Now, in terms of getting a victory, what's the minimum number that you want there? What's the minimum number you want to roll on your 3d6?
Three would be a victory, no losses.
Yeah.
So
anything.
Really?
Oh, right.
In
Okay.
fact,
So
in fact,
Anything
three would be the best.
numbers.
Yeah.
a three would look quite good, wouldn't it?
In fact, I'm praying for a 3.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard people pray for a low roll.
Triple snake on.
All right. Okay, so let's always go through and do our sums, both for my benefit to make sure we're not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes, but also for those watching along at home. So let's talk about the strength of the enemy forces first. What do we got?
We have a land strength of 20, including the leaders.
Okay. Now let's talk about what is the legion strength of Rome. Just the legion strength right now.
The legion strength is 26.
26, and that of course is because the veterans count as double. So that is where the additional 2 come from. So we get a total of 26 in legion strength, and we get to add the military ratings of our dictator and master of horse. So what's that? The total of those 2 commanders is what, 9?
9.
Okay, and that gives us therefore a total strength of the Roman forces
Of, 35?
35. Very good. And if you take away 20 from that, gives us a base number of
15.
15.
Snake eyes.
So what we're seeing is a positive 15 strength difference between that of Rome and that of the enemy First Punic Wars under Hamilcar and Hannibal, both together in this scenario for us. They didn't fight alongside a great deal against the Roman forces in their time. When did Hamilcar perish? I think he died of old age in Spain, didn't he? I can't recall. Or he died of sickness, I think, before Hannibal took over. Anyway, that's different from us here. So what we're going to have now is, of course, a good dictator under Marcus Decumusii. He's going to be doing our roll. Now, of course, I'll always present him the option. You got the choice of rolling roll 20, or you can have me roll manually at this end. I'll leave that up to you. So what's your choice there, dictator?
I'll use the roll 20.
He's going to use the roll 20. All right, so we want to make sure he doesn't roll a 13, an 8, a 9, a 16, a 12, an 11, or a 14. He needs to roll 3d6 right now. Let's see how he goes.
Yes.
We did it.
Yes.
Wow.
We've done it.
Yes.
Really?
Well worth it.
Wow. So
Well worth it.
That was way too
Brilliant.
close.
for
That was
those
way
that
too
can't see because the
close.
resolution's too low, they've rolled a 7. Would normally be a terrible roll, but because
Thank
of
you,
the
Jupiter.
15 strength difference
Thank
here,
you, Jupiter.
the probabilities, right, of not hitting a disastrous standoff number is phenomenal, but they haven't hit one. They got close,
Praise be.
but they haven't hit it.
Praise be to
close.
Jupiter.
Wow, I'm so impressed, guys. That's that's phenomenal. I'm really happy. All right, so let's lots of happiness here. Emotes and hype in chat. Hey, it's September. It's a great time to donate with 20% off your subs.
Donate to Jupiter and his war.
Yes, let's all praise and donate to Upida for he's come through for Rome again. Well done to you guys. Yes, we're now going to change the dictator's name to Africanus. So it's now going to be Titus Quinticus Fleminus Africanus in honour. So he gets the agnomen Africanus in honour. Maybe you guys can pass that as a proposal in your future Senate phase, perhaps. Okay, so let's talk about a 7. So is there any fleets or legion losses on a 7?
So if we do a 7 plus 15,
Yep.
that brings us well over 18, which is a victory, no losses.
Wow, and against the First Punic War as well. My word. So that's going to be 0 losses. So
I
therefore,
will point out, Decimus, that this is our second go against the Punic War. So
true.
Yeah.
wreath ourselves in too much glory.
So there's going to be a couple. That's an additional medal, because I think not only will he get a medal for the flawless victory here, he'll also get a medal for defeating a war that was previously ended in a disaster or standoff. So there's another medal there. Let alone the campaign medal. Just to talk about the medals there very briefly. So what the good news is we don't have to worry about any death chit draws, which is fantastic, and we also subsequently don't have to worry about any popularity losses as a result of Legion death, which is really good. First of all, what I would like to do is roll for the veteran allegiance first. So we're gonna mix it up a little bit. So I've got my D20 here, which will randomize which legion becomes awesome, and gets the awesome fluoro pink background.
Pretty cool background.
The 11th Legion, are they fighting with us?
Yes.
Okay, the 11th Legion is now going to become veteran. If the dictator would like to nominate somebody to exchange that legion as they currently are.
I'll nominate the Master of Horse to do so.
All right, so Master of Horse, if you could change out the respective token, so to make the 11th Legion now veteran, and while you're down there, if you could grab the number 11 Legion allegiance marker and put it on the dictator's card, as well down back in the Senate, that would be wonderful. So he'll now have, I think it's your second allegiance, is that correct?
That is correct.
There we go, so there's 2.
Is 11 correct?
11 is correct, yes.
Making sure I'm getting my Roman numerals correct.
Good, yes, XI. Okay, so a victorious commander increases both his popularity and influence by half, fractions rounded up, of the unmodified printed land strength here. So it'll be 5. So you can add 5 popularity to Flaminius, and you can add 5 influence to him as well.
Does popularity cap at 9?
Correct.
All right.
That's right. Maximum of 9 and a minimum of -9 for popularity. So it sounds like you've capped out on popularity now.
I have capped out on popularity.
There we go. All right.
A bit too powerful.
What we can do now is assign the spoils of war here. So, Dictator, I'll allow you to nominate somebody to update the state treasury to increase it by 35 talents.
I shall do that.
All right. Thank you very much. I shall accept the offer from the pre-Byzantine.
Very good. I now have the honour to announce that both Hamilcar and Hannibal now go to the Curia in the enemy leaders box. So, Dictator, if you'd like to manage that.
Certainly.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass, boys.
So they'll go to the Curia with an opportunity to get rid of them, hopefully before the Second Punic War comes out. That would be nice. Otherwise, another tough fight potentially on your hands. And the final thing we need to consider here is the decrease of an unrest level. I believe a victory allows a decrease of the unrest level. So if Dictator, you'd like to nominate somebody to decrease our unrest level by 1.
I shall nominate the Rome Consul.
Very good.
To decrease it by 1. So it
Decrease
comes
by
down
50.
to
Decrease by 50.
Decrease by
And-
50 after overwhelming victory.
The other thing I get to do for you here as well is we get to raise some provinces.
Nice.
So we get to raise Sicilia, whereas and there's 2 here. So I'm going to look through my little list here. Fortunately, they're not stacked very nice. There's 1. Sicilia is 1 province we get to raise, and we also need to raise Sardinia at. I think this is the one I want here. Sardinia at Corsica. Yeah, that's the one I want as well. 2 more provinces that will need to be governed in future turns. I'll bring them down to the sandpit for us.
Excellent.
Down to the sandpit. Whoa. And Dictator, I think that's everything there. If you just want to double check the card before you go drop it on the discard pile for us.
Let's have a quick look at it. Oop. My roll 20s sent me off into the corner. Let me go. Let me
worst.
return. In an attack, victory creates the 2 sets of provinces as stated. We've decreased the hour unrest by 1. We've increased the treasury by 35 talents. We've increased the commander. We've made our veterans. I believe that is everything.
All right. I tell you what, that couldn't be any cleaner. So, drop the naval victory marker back where it belongs. Drop the 3 back, and pop that first Punic War card into the annals, into the archives, where it no longer poses a threat to us. It now lives in the discard pile on top of
the
Africanus there.
It's slid in behind, but it's down there.
That's okay. I think I can still see it. Yeah, I'll pop it on top just to keep a little bit of order there. Wow, there we go. Well, that concludes the combat phase. There are no other wars to fight at this point in time. Awesome. Wow, you guys, amazing. Let's quickly duck through some there. There are 2 unprosecuted wars there now, which is the Second Macedonian and the Syrian War. So they're going to move to the unprosecuted wars box. Now, they are not attacking any of our provinces right now, noting we've got the 1 province with our governor out there, but thankfully, though, none of the wars are attacking that province, which is good. There are no wars with an age 6 or more, which is also good. Let's move on to the revolution phase. Starting with the highest ranking available officer, we're going to check for any voluntary retirements at this point in time. Let's go down to the Justia Marita. Well, that's not the highest ranking available officer because he's still currently not in Rome.
They return immediately, do they not, after they win a war successfully? Did we not figure this out last time?
So,
Yeah, I think that's what we.
I believe that was what happens when they win successfully. They come back and they declare they free.
yeah, I guess it all sort of happens simultaneously, doesn't it? This step here. So, if anything, let's start with the formal declaration first. Then, so let's just go through Dictator. I'm assuming you're not declaring at this stage rebellion.
I am not declaring rebellion at this stage. I am removing my sword, and the free men of Rome shall return to their houses.
All right. Very good. And the Dictator the Master of Horse follows along in that motion. If the Dictator and Master of Horse wish to put their away from Rome markers back, and if somebody wants to facilitate to bring all of our forces back to the active forces box, fleets and legions, that would be excellent. And we'll allow a brief moment for that to occur. I can see the Navy's already back, good on them, so they can start their disembarkation of all of our forces.
They're faster than the land soldiers.
There we go. Well, I guess it makes sense that the ships arrive in port before the people do.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't it be simultaneously?
Well, you'd see the ships hit land first before the people step off on the
Now, I'm
land.
no admiral. Okay? I do have a bit of a inkling.
Actually, I believe, as a point of historical reference, that Cato the Elder sent his horse back by land after his fighting in Hispania, because he didn't want to charge Rome the cost of ferrying his horse back on the ships.
He's a fair man.
He
Wow.
was.
What a guy.
Yeah.
What an honourable individual. Okay, all of our peeps are back, which is great. So now let's go through our voluntary retirement cycle, and we will now start with the dictator, Justia Marita. Now, do you have anybody eligible for retirement? It appears not. I see one 7-year-old, but does not have an influence over 20, so we'll just quickly rotate around and double check. Pre-Byzantium, nobody over 7 or over there. Cross to House of Incognita. You got one at 7,
Not
but
anymore.
don't require the 20 influence, no, or don't have the required
Can I
20
just
there.
check why would somebody retire a senator?
So
Just keep the influence.
obviously you see that when a senator dies of old age, which I don't know if we've seen yet, have we? But you
No.
lose all of your influence, you lose all of your all your card stats. Now, for a senator with 20 or greater strength influence, you have the option to retire them before they die, which means you bank that influence, which adds to your final score as a player.
Half of the influence. I believe, yes.
Yeah, there you go. So it helps to add to your final score at the very end of the game. Should there be no Consul for Life or Rebel Victory, it'll be whoever has the highest amount of influence at the end of the game, and any banked influence counts towards that. So that is one of the reasons why you may choose to retire an eligible senator. Fortuna's Despair doesn't have anybody eligible. The House of Julii doesn't have anybody eligible. So there's nobody making any voluntary retirements at this stage. Let's do intrigue cards. Justia Marita, would you like to play any cards from your hand at this stage? Or trade them, for that matter, from your hand? Marcus Decimus.
At this stage, no.
Okay, let's go to pre-Byzantium. Any cards you'd like to play or trade at this stage?
Just give me a quick second. If it's
Yeah,
all
not a
right.
problem.
No.
All right. Across to the Aphrodite faction, Marcoedia, any cards you'd like to play or trade at this stage?
I was hoping for a trade with somebody, but they probably still don't have any cards to trade until we get more cards.
I believe you could do a open proposal for them to trade coin or any other favors. I believe that could still work.
True. Doesn't have to be card for card. It could be card for votes. It could be card for... Please don't prosecute me.
Future favours.
It could be card for future favours, yeah. Card to have your friend, knit a toga. I don't know. It could be anything, right?
Okay. Okay, maybe we'll wait until next round. Then people might have some money.
Okay, move across. House of Incognita. Would you like to play or trade a card at this stage?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Let's go down to Fortuna's Despair. Play or trade?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. House of Julii. Play or trade?
No, thank you.
Very good. Okay, no player, I'm looking now, has over 5 cards, which is great. We've done Declarations of Rebellion. Check for victory conditions. We don't have any at this stage. Nobody is a Consul for Life, and there's no any other losses that we need to be concerned about right now. So let's go do Mortality. We've had our break. So imminent war activation. We don't have any imminent wars to worry about at the moment, although we do have the inactive one giving us a drought, which we'll talk about later. Next from here, let's do War Exhaustion. So we're going to age each war by 1. So I'll request that the highest ranking available officer of the dictator, if you could manage the aging of all wars, please, except for the inactive First Illyrian, so it can stay as it is.
Yep.
If you could add a number 1 to the Second Macedonian and 1 to the Syrian war, please. Now, while we're here, I'm going to... if you could also take back those purple at-war tokens, and I'll get rid of those commanders. I'll send them back to their sleepy hideout up the top here for future use, should they go to war later.
Oh, I've got 1 token behind the war. If you could fix...
Yep, I'll bring it to the front to make that easier. There we go. Splendid. So we're seeing those wars hanging around. They get a little bit of age. That's fine. All right, next step from here. We're going to go through the aging senators process, ladies and gentlemen. You know the deal. Be very careful. You're aging your senators correctly. There's a lot of senators at 0 that need to get a 1 now. If there are 7, they go to an 8. You know the deal. Just take your time. Pre-Byzantium, if I could request, you could aid Marcoedia in the middle there again with her aging tokens. That would be most helpful. So everybody take your time and age your senators. And while we do that, we might run an ad break for those who aren't subscribed right now. Stand by. There we go.
Have you moved any of yours, Marker, or they're still?
Not yet. Not
Okay,
yet. But
well-
I have a 5 and a 6. So the
Okay.
6 can go to the 5. I'm just about to
Yep.
do that one.
So
That bit
seven and
I'm doing
one.
now.
Oh, I've already done that. So,
Oh, you're quicker than me.
7 and 1. Just give me 1 second. I'll have them over for you.
Hello.
1. Oh, God.
Oh,
Do I need to get a 1 for Plateus, the young
Yep.
one?
Yep, I'm bringing that over. So Plateus is, sorry, which one's my 1 there? And a 7 for Alias. Perfect, all done. Yeah, you might want to confirm that it's correct, but
Yes, it is.
sweet.
All right, this should be interesting now. We're starting to get a few more elder senators in some places. We've seen some make it to 8 years of age, which is pretty good. That's a pretty good long life.
A few elder statesmen.
All right, thumbs up from my senators when you're all finished aging your senators, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Waiting on Tiberius Cornelius.
Mark is done. So.
All done.
6. We're all done now. All our senators are now aged. Fingers crossed you guys have aged them all correctly. All right, so I'm going to start with the highest ranking available officer. We're going to check for ages now. So I'll give you the choice there, Marcus Decimus. So who would you like to look at aging first, potentially? Doing a die roll, of course.
I guess we'll start with my Venerius.
Sure. Okay, so you're going to roll a 1d6 now. You do not want to roll a 5 or a 6. On a 5 or a 6, he will pass away of natural causes.
Yes.
You got a 3. He lives. Valerius lives another day. Very good. Let's now do your very influential and very popular dictator. If you'd like to go ahead, do not roll a 6 for him. 2. He
They
will
live.
also live. They live. All right, and I think that's everyone. Cornelius is only 1. He's a young fella. He's all right. Okay, let's go to pre-Byzantium now. Let's have a look through your order. Just Calpurnicus requiring a roll today. 2d6, don't roll a 6 for Calpurnicus. Only a 1d6, please. Try again.
Oh, sorry. You said 2. Oh.
And he will pass away there. So, if you'd like to remove the popularity and influence tokens to begin with,
Yep.
and subsequently his aging token, and now you'll get to do your 2d6 to see if you get to keep him within your faction. You roll an 11. So that actually means he doesn't. So you needed to roll less than 10 there. So Calpurnicus is actually now going to go down to repopulating Rome. Now, I think sometimes the aging senator sends it to the forum. In this case here, we're going to use the repopulating Rome figure there for now. So Copernicus has now left the pre-Byzantium faction, has passed of old age, and now that'll become a future senator for somebody. There, so apologies to pre-Byzantium there, seeing the senator age. Okay, let's go to the Erudite faction. Let's see, have a look at the records. Zooming in, the only senator that needs to have a roll is Aelius down the bottom there. If you could like a roll a 1d6 for Aelius there, Marcoedia, just don't roll a 6. Rolls a die, and it's a 1. Good. So Aelius lives another day. Very good. Let's move across now to the House of Incognita. We have one aged 8 for Emilius, which is the current Master of Horse. So if Quintus Octavius, do not roll a 5 or a 6 for Emilius. Let's see how you go. A 2. Well done. So you also get to see Emilius live another day, which is good news there for you. Good to see some good luck for you considering that last major prosecution. Right, Fortuna's Despair. Let's have a look through your ranks. Nobody is required to do a natural death roll there. Everybody's still quite young and prosperous. House of Julia, looking through your ranks, we've got one that needs to have a roll, and that's Aurelius of my gens. and that of Numerius Aurelius's. So you need to roll a 1d6 for Aurelius now. Do not roll a 5 or a 6. Rolls a 1, so Aurelius gets to live. Another day is now fit and prosper. Okay, we've now aged everybody there. We only saw one senator pass on from natural courses. Has now gone to the Curia. Let's move into
Maximus.
What's that? Sorry.
Of course, it's been the Pontifex Maximus again.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't this time.
Thankfully, it wasn't the Pontifex Maximus.
Oh, thank
no.
God.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Right, we're going to do revenue phase. Okay, so you guys know the gist here, but I just want to talk through for governors. So I'm just going to scroll my view up to the governors here. So our good friend from the pre-Byzantium faction needs to take into account a choice here. So before everybody starts picking up talents, he'll get to make a choice here whether he gets to take provincial spoils as a part of his total income for his faction, and I guess subsequently his personal treasury for the senator. Now, you can see there it's a 1d6 minus 1. So I guess there's the worst roll there is a 0. So I guess there's no consequences there as such, as only gains to be made. Having said that, if he decides to take provincial spoils, he will get a corrupt marker that he will keep until he has seen the sitting of a prosecution step into Senate phase upon his eventual return. So I guess it's a corruption marker that you'll hang on for some time, a minor corruption at the very least. Now, of course, if he decides not to take provincial spoils, when he goes to check for development of the province, he actually gets a +1 to that roll if he does not take provincial spoils. So there is a benefit there for both him and Rome should he not take the provincial spoils. But it's up to him. We'll talk about state income when we do the state revenue when we get to that point. But right now, I guess we'll ask you directly. So for you in pre-Byzantium and Numerius Aurelius, will you be looking to take provincial spoils for Fabius?
Yes.
All right. So go ahead and roll your 1d6 now. We can actually see what that value is. It'll be 0. So you're going to get 0 provincial spoils, and you still get your corrupt marker. So if you'd like to grab a... What's that, sorry?
Sorry, what marker is it? A major or?
You want the one that just says corrupt. So, yeah, so it's just a minor prosecution eligibility, and just pop that back in your governor in Rome. So he has a corruption marker there, even though he didn't get anything from it. But yeah, everybody else, it's the Stames. Go ahead and grab your talents. So, yep, 3 for a faction leader, 1 for everybody else, an additional 1d6 for the Pontifex Maximus. Don't forget your knights. If you've got knights, you get a talent for them as well. Okay.
So obviously, when you're a governor, you might want to get to know the locals before you start.
I was planning to invest that straight away.
Potentially, or at least hire some better tax collectors.
Yes. There's, Decimus, I can't see just a corrupt marker. That's not a major one.
Yeah, okay. That maybe if yeah, I see. Okay, there's not just a standard corruption. Go ahead and just throw a major one on for Fabius. We'll know, and we'll keep a record of that, and it's on video anyway. But yeah, so that'll just be a minor corruption.
So it's
I'll put that in my notes.
3, and I'll roll my 1d6 for my Pontifex Maximus.
Yep. 4 there. Very good.
Okay, so
and of course, at this time, folks, feel free to consider your redistribution step as well. So to and from your faction treasury, in amongst your individual senators, and then, of course, amongst or towards other factions as well, should that be something you're wishing to do. By all means, have that conversation. Noting, you're going to be thinking about perhaps contributing to the state treasury or hosting games, or simply providing some persuasion attempt defense by leaving someone a senator, all that good guff. But, consult your little white sheet in your faction zone, which gives you an idea about what talents are used for. take his time to do that. We might watch another short ad break.
How do I donate my talents to my province? Do I just put them on my governor?
Right, so you don't donate to the province yet, but if you're looking to use them to bolster your provincial forces, make sure you've got talents on your senator in Rome there, because that shows his personal treasury. So assign them. Yeah, if you're looking to use them as a part of the local taxes, make sure they're on your governor for that time. Okay, it'll have to come from his personal treasury.
Can do.
All right, how are we all going? Who's finished paying themselves? I got 1, I got 2, 3, 4. Just waiting on Tiberius Cornelius and Marco Edia just to finish paying themselves. Nearly
What's
done.
the calculation again, sorry?
So it'll
many
be
for the faction
3
leader?
talents for a faction leader, 1 talent for everybody else. So if I have a look at Fortuna's Despair, and plus concessions. Don't forget your concessions, folks. I didn't mention that initially, but I think most of you got that. The only person that's not taking direct concessions right now is, of course, the shipbuilder. Now, I don't see any talents already on Papyrus. Did you get your money before from your shipbuilding?
Yes, I distributed
Good.
it. Is that
That's
not the right
okay.
thing to
That's
do?
all right. Yes, and of course your concessions. So for you, you'd have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 talents income for this round. Does that sound right to you? Yep, good.
It's sorted, yeah.
Perfect. How you going, Marco Edia? Are you okay?
Yes, just a bit slow.
That's okay. Just
Getting
double
on
checking. I was like, oh, why is the state treasury so healthy? It's because you won 45 talents in that last conflict.
It's 35.
35.
Though we do have a lot of forces to pay upkeep on.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming those forces are going to win a few wars in the next round. So
But what's the upkeep
Okay.
again?
2 each.
2
So
talents per
I think it
force.
was I think it's about 35 forces total, maybe. So 7 talents.
10 plus 24, so we would have 34.
Yep. So 68.
Okay, is everyone done now?
Mm-hmm.
And you're all finished now, Marco Edia?
Yes, all finished.
Good. Okay, everybody is paid up. Very good. And we've got no other redistributions that people need to consider at this time?
Not at this stage.
Okay. Let's talk about province development. We actually get to do this for a change, which is really good. Now, we're going to go to Fabius and that of Numerus Aurelius. In just a moment, he's going to roll a 1d6 to see if the province is developed. And if he does do that, he'll get +3 influence. But because he's a corrupt governor, he doesn't get the additional +1 roll. So he's looking for a 6 on this roll. So if you'd like to go ahead and roll a 6, Numerus Aurelius.
Oh.
Ooh. Close, but no cigar. But if you weren't corrupt, that would have developed it then with that 5. But no luck. No luck this time. Maybe in the future. Okay, let's go through and work out our state balance. So we'll get our good quaestor on the pen and paper or the calculator, and we'll run some running totals before we go bothering to move numbered tokens around. So let's start off by adding 100 talents to our calculation sheet or the calculator, the standard income that we always get. And the next thing we're going to do is double check for local state income from the province. So we're going to get our governor to roll that 1d6 again, and hopefully we can add some additional money to the state treasury. So roll again. It'll be 2. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So we're going to add 1 talent to that 100. So we're currently sitting at 101 talents. Let's talk about contribution. Let's see if anybody is thinking about contributing to the state treasury. So let's start with the highest ranking available officer and the Justitia Merita faction. Do you have anybody that's looking to donate to the state treasury today?
Not at this stage, but I just wanted to confirm what our current state treasury value represents. For what I understood, we raised 4 extra legions, which would have brought our treasury down to near 0 or below 10 talents. Then we would have just got the 35 from the Punic War.
So perhaps they didn't minus the legions before.
Yeah,
so
I believe
42.
we should be 40
Yeah.
talents less than what we currently are.
Yes, you're correct.
Well, let's fix that then.
Yes. Okay.
Good pickup, folks.
At this stage, no, I do not have any senators who wish to contribute to Rome.
Okay. All right. So now that we know what the state treasury is, that's a good check. Okay, let's go to pre-Byzantium. Do you have anybody that's looking to donate to the state treasury today?
Yes.
All right. And who's going to be doing that today?
That's Junius. He's going to donate 7.
Junius is going to donate 7 talents to the state treasury. So that'll be a +7 to the current running total. And 7 and 4 won't give him any influence, but it'll still certainly give to the state, which the state is very thankful of. So he's going to drop that money off in the bank. All right. No other contributions there. Let's go across to the Auditi faction of Marcoedia. Marcoedia, are you having any senators donate to the state treasury today?
Not today, but I'm also just going to take 2 more because I forgot about the corruption card.
Oh, yeah, your tax farmer. Yeah, good. Please take your extra 2. Yep, don't forget that, and make sure you reveal the corrupt portion of your card. That's good. That's fine. Across to the House of Incognita. Anybody donating to the state treasury today?
No, but I just want to say, you all called me out for not donating, and look at you now.
Well, we're richer now.
Very true.
Yeah.
Hey, I donated even in times of richness, guys. I'm a true patriot.
Fortuna's Despair. Anybody donating to the state treasury today?
Yes, Achilles will donate 27 talents.
Wow. Achilles donating 27 talents to the state treasury, which will also gain him 3 influence. So if you'd like to bank that, and we'll add the 27 to our running total. I'll give you a moment to bank those and grab your, it'll be a number 6 marker. So taking Achilles to 6 influence. Very good. And finally, let's go to the House of Julia. House of Julia, anybody donating to the state treasury today?
No, not today.
Not today. Okay, very good. Okay, so we're currently sitting at 134 additional talents, excluding what's currently in the state treasury. But let's deduct the state debts from that. So first of all, let's get a total -2 talents for every legion and fleet. So therefore, our total force debt is going to be what? Veterans are also only 2, so they're only with 2 talents. They don't cost anything additional.
68.
I have 1 call for 68 talents. Anybody else?
I agree with that.
2 in agreement. That sounds pretty good to me as well. Okay, so 68, and we're also going to see -20 talents for every active and unprosecuted war. We currently have 2 unprosecuted wars, so we're going to see an additional 40 talents added to that, which makes that 108 debt. Is that correct? So 68 plus 40 makes it 108. And various talents from land bills, which we don't have any at this point in time. So therefore, the total being added to the state treasury is going to be 134 minus 108, which gives us what?
26.
26 is the quick arithmetic there. So I think if nobody objects to that, we're going to add 26 talents to the state treasury.
So it should be 68 total. Which I'm doing right now.
Very good.
Much richer, guys. Look at us, much richer.
We're richer in spirit and men.
Yeah.
It's true. We do have a lot of men. A lot of hungry mouths.
There we go. All right. Now, what our good governor Fabius needs to do, man, there's lots of things for governors to do. He needs to now update his province term dial. So what we like to do here, if he grabs a number 2, grey token, a number 2, and scrolls out to the map and plops a number 2 right in the bottom centre of the actual province card itself, over the number 3, and that'll be a prompter. So if I bring that up, that probably just disturbed Fabius in his dragging of numbers there. But if he drops the number 2 over the number 3 in the centre there, that shows us what term he's up to. So he's now down
You,
one more term.
Bring it to front, please, Decimus.
Yes, I can indeed do that. Advance to front. There you go. You should now be able to adjust that. And that should sit on top of the province card there. Good. Yeah, excellent. Great. So governors are now updated their dials. And no other governors need to return to Rome at this point and time. Very good. That will conclude the revenue phase. Any questions or challenges on additions or subtractions there?
So, when do I've got these talents for the province that I said I would donate. When does that go to them? I don't know if it's in a later stage or...
Yeah, no, I think that's... I'm just double-checking my notes. But yes, that essentially has to happen at some point. And I'm just double-checking my notes here. We don't often get to this point in the game where we get the opportunity to raise provincial forces.
I think it probably would make most sense to occur in the forum phase.
So if you actually look there under local forces in the blue underneath debts, so it really is happening right now. So let's go to Numerius Aurelius and let's understand what his plans are. So just for everybody, I'm going to bring it up on screen again, the province. So we can see the local taxes of 15. So let's go across to Fabius now. Let's talk about his intent here. So what's your plan, Fabius?
So I wish... is this just giving money or to...
Yeah, so you're going... So it sounds like you've got some additional money there to bolster the local taxes, which is not bankable or transferable or anything. That 15 just pops up each turn, and that you can add to that. So, for example, if you added an additional 5 talents from the personal treasury of Fabius here, that'll give you a total of 20 in local taxes, which allows you to create 2 provincial forces.
Indeed. So, as we can see on my Fabius card, I have 5 talents, and I would like to note that 4 of those, as we can see in the chat, are from my Pontifex Maximus roll. So that was my public agreement that I would be donating that, and I'm donating 1 extra from my own personal treasury to bring that up to the 5, to reach the 20 in terms of plus the local taxes, and then to raise those 2 legions.
All right. Very good. So go ahead and bank that 5 talents from the personal treasury of Fabius.
Mm-hmm.
And now what I'm doing now is I'm dragging across the provincial forces, a different token. And you can see now they are now standing there in the province as well alongside you. So at the present time, their strength is...
upkeep cost?
No. So that's the beauty about it. The provincial forces do not require anything to upkeep. And... but they are only worth half. So the 2 together is worth 1. With the then with the inherent strength of 1 on the card, has a total strength of 2. Plus the military rating of Fabius would be a total strength of 6 for the province right now.
And so next round, potentially raise another 2. And
yes.
The 2 raised would remain. So you'd have a total of 4.
Yes.
But we could send 1 soldier, correct? 1 legion.
Correct.
And that would pop it up to 3. Oh,
yes.
Double.
But then the provincials, then the provincials become full value.
Yep.
Yeah,
they're worth full value at that point. Yep. So you're always looking to increase your strength there. So very good. All right. Good. Now we've done that. Perfect. Now we've concluded the revenue phase. Let's go to the forum phase. Let's move through passage of time, remove any event cards. There are no event cards for us to remove at this point in time. And now we get to move into initiatives, going to the highest ranking valuable officer, which is the dictator. 2d6. Let's do this.
2d6. Let's roll. 12.
It's not a 7. You're going to be drawing a card. Okay. Usual brief. I'm going to reveal the Early Republic deck. Hover over the deck. Don't click on it. Hover. The little box pops up. You know the deal. Click draw, hit a 1 in the box, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Let's do this.
Early Republic deck is now showing to you. And you've got it. I'm hiding the deck again.
It is a red text card.
Red text card. You will keep that secret. That's always good news for us. We like seeing red text cards. Persuasion attempt. Would you like to make one today?
Just want to confirm the repopulating area. So that's a card I can't persuade from?
Not right now. So at the end of the forum phase, the highest ranking available also will do a recovery roll, kind of like when you're rolling for enemy leaders.
Yep. I see.
Yeah, so that'll be the point where we get to see whether he comes out or not.
Okay, and then in that case, at this stage, I will not make a persuasion attempt.
Cool. Who's rolling for a knight today?
That will be... I scroll across. Cornelius?
Okay, and how many talents is he probably looking to make that easier for himself?
Yes, he'll be donating the 5.
All right, so that's an automatic. Go ahead and donate those 5 talents to the bank and grab yourself a knight. We'll be changing faction leader today.
I will not.
Very good. And finally, we'll be looking to sponsor any games.
I will not be sponsoring any games.
Doesn't look like it. Good. That was a nice and quick initiative there. Well done. Let's go up to pre-Byzantium, moving in a clockwise direction as per normal. 2d6, please, good sir.
1 second.
He rolls a 2. Therefore, that is not an event card. It's not a 7. Okay, usual deal. I'm going to reveal the Early Republic deck. Don't click on the deck. Just hover. Click on the draw little link that pops up and then put a number 1 in the box. Here we go. Deck is revealed.
Draw.
All right, you've got it.
Red text card.
Great news. Red text card. You'll keep that secret. Very good. Would you like to make a persuasion attempt today?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Which senator's rolling for a knight?
Junius, please.
Junius is. Now, I think we've had discussions before about whether a senator has to be in Rome to roll for a knight, which I think is the case, but Junius is perfectly fine here anyway. So go ahead and roll your 1d6. 5 just misses out. Just misses out there. Would you like to change your faction leader today?
Yes, I would like to make it Junius, please.
You'd like to make a Junius? Certainly can. All right, not a problem at all. And would you like to sponsor any games today? I don't doesn't look like it.
Thank you.
Very good. Across to the Erudite and the Marca Wedia. 2d6, please. Let's see how you go.
Are we able to add money towards it to make sure that we do get a knight?
Yeah. Yep. When you do that roll, absolutely. Well, let's start with your 2d6. There we go. It is 7. It's going to be an event. All right, so you won't get the draw from the Early Republic deck. I'm going to scroll my view down to the random events table here. All right, I'd now like yourself there, Marcoedia, to roll 3d6, please. And we're going to see what sort of event we're going to get. Fingers crossed. Here we go. 3d6. It is 10.
Evil Omens. Pontius Maximus.
Dear.
Oh no!
Oh no! And the thing is,
we had that last time, right?
Numerius Aurelius knows exactly what this means to him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out and pull this up, and we're going to have a read. It's going to hurt. So let's pull up the events deck. I'm going to give me a moment to pull this out. There it is. I think that's Evil Omens. Let me double check the card. No, not more Evil Omens. Just the first one is perfectly fine for now. Thanks. Okay, pull that out. I'm going to Shift Z this for everybody so we can all see it and have a read through. Here we go. The State Treasury must immediately pay 20 talents for sacrifices and temple repair, and a -1 penalty is applied to every die roll or dice roll except for initiative and further rolls on the events table. Blah, 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 blah. Now, the thing is, we're actually using the Pontifex Maximus Advanced Rule here, which really means that this is all actually, in fact, lumped on the Pontifex Maximus and not the Senate initially. So I'm now actually going to go down to the Pontifex Maximus Advanced Rule in the section here. Scrolling. It's usually it's the first advanced rule off the rank here. Pontifex Maximus, there it is, Evil Omens. When the Evil Omen event is drawn, the Pontifex Maximus must pay the 20 talent cost from his personal treasury, which I'm assuming he can't because he doesn't have any talents right now. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's the next step. If he cannot pay the 20 talents, or if the second Evil Omens occurs, but that's not the case here, but he can't pay it, he immediately is stripped of his office. All right, so let's return the Pontifex Maximus plaque and purple token back to the sandpit. Let's start with that one step at a time.
Jeez. Body blow after body blow for my faction.
Next, you need to -5 influence from your senator. You lose the influence with that office to a minimum of 0, but I think you're right there. Also, grab yourself a major corruption marker.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So, because now what it says here, if he is unable to pay the full Evil Omen cost, which is the case here, the difference plus a 10 talent fine is levied on his faction treasury. So, payable to the bank, and if the faction treasury has insufficient funds, what money there is in that treasury is lost, and the faction leader must also be the subject of a major prosecution during the following Senate phase, in addition to any regular prosecutions the censor may wish to conduct. The state must pay any shortfall in the evil omen cost, excluding the faction fine of 10 talents, not paid by the Pontifex Maximus or his faction. So, considering that, in fact, your senator has no money, how much does your faction treasury have?
1 talent.
1 talent. Please bank that 1 talent. And now we need to deduct 19 talents from the state treasury as well, please. Somebody wants to manage that.
I'll do it. So that's 49.
At least 4 people didn't die.
Now I see somebody's got the rainbow puke on the cameras. I better fix that up. Rainbow puke fix. There we go. Good. That's all taken care of. So yeah, so just to reiterate,
Jeez,
if the faction treasury has insufficient funds, which was the case here, what money there is in that treasury is lost, and the faction leader may also be the subject of a major prosecution during the following Senate phase in addition. So it says may, so it doesn't say must, but it says may. So the censor, in addition to their normal prosecutions, can also say that Junius, who is already the faction leader anyway, can undertake, go under the knife for prosecution here. So there we go. And that concludes the Evil Omens card there, which is an absolute whopper. But the other thing we need to remember
Does
is
it conclude it though? Because there's ongoing.
yeah. So that's all for now. But what we need to note is what I'm just about to get onto is that -1 penalty roll from now on. Okay, so until the event expires in the start of the next forum phase, it's every die or dice roll except for your initiative 2d6 and rolls on the event table. The exception is there's a +1 to all persuasion attempts. So what does that mean practically then? It makes it harder, if I'm not mistaken, because really you want to roll low on a persuasion attempt. This actually makes it harder. So it adds a +1 to your persuasion attempt roll. So you're always looking to get...
so that includes wars.
Yep, correct. Every single roll.
Knights.
Now, knights, every roll except for initiative and events table. Now it says in the case of provincial spoils, which we don't need to worry about at the moment, and state income, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there we go. So there's that big evil omens hanging over our head now. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so let's finish off Marco Wedia's initiative there. Would you like to make a persuasion attempt today?
Not today.
Not today. Which senator will be rolling for a knight?
Plateus.
Plateus is going to be rolling for a knight, and how much money would he like to put towards the cause?
He's going to put towards 5 talents.
All right, that's an automatic. Please go ahead and bank that 5 talents and grab yourself a number 2.
It would not be an automatic because of the evil omens.
Not an automatic.
Well,
anymore.
there we go. That was a good test. And but so we're going to roll. So go ahead and bank that 5 talents, and roll your 1d6. So you want to get anything except a 1. Oh. Thanks for the 5 talents donation. Poach Trout asks, what's the state treasury at? The state treasury is now at 49 talents, having had to pay the 19 talent difference because the pre-Byzantium faction was unable to manage that cost there. Would you like to change faction leader today?
No, thank you.
Okay, and anybody sponsoring games today? It doesn't appear so. Nope. Okay, let's go across to House of Incognita. 2d6, please. There, Quintus Octavius.
No problem.
You are going to roll 11. Okay, so usual deal. I'm going to roll reveal the Early Republic deck to you. Make sure you don't click on the deck. Just hover and then click on the draw, put a 1 in the box. Okay, there it is. Early Republic deck is open to you. There you go. You've got the card. All right. And is it red text or black text?
It is red text.
Red text. You'll keep that. That remains secret to you if it's red text. Would you like to make a persuasion attempt today?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. And who's rolling for a knight?
Let's go with Flaminius.
Flaminius is going to roll for a knight today. So you need to...
It'd be impossible without.
I think
talents now.
technically it's impossible without talents.
Yeah, you have to have at least one talent.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
so
that's gonna suck.
Yeah. So there we go. So you've rolled and failed. At
Let's
least
just roll anyway, just for the fun of it.
Yeah. All right. I'm happy for you to roll anyway. See if you get a 7 from a 1d6. No, it doesn't appear that's going to be the case in this area. Would you like to change faction leader?
No, thank you.
And anybody sponsoring games today?
No, definitely
No.
not.
Very good. All right. Scrolling down. Fortuna's Despair. 2d6, please, good sir. It will be, there it is, a 7, another event.
Another event.
Wow. All right, so let me scroll and look at the events table. I wonder if it'll get a second Evil Omens.
There's no Pontifex Maximus though, so
True, there
how
isn't.
would that work?
I'm not sure how we
It's a
how we
good
do
choice.
that. Anyway, let's roll 3d6 now there, please, Tiberius Cornelius, and let's see what we get. We're now going to get a 9, and that's Drought. So I'm now going to reveal the Drought event, so bear with me, and I'll put that in the center sandpit. We're going to have a read of that. Not particularly positive events happening this time around, but we were due for some misfortune considering the amazing epic victory we had in the First Punic War. So I'm now going to reveal myself the event deck, and I'm going to go choose, and we're looking for the Drought. Let's have a look here. This is it here, I think. I'm getting better at spotting the event cards by the picture. Yeah, that's the one we want. So I'm going to drag that out here, and I'll shift Z this for everybody to have a look at. So it's fairly simple. It just says it creates or worsens drought conditions. So we are now going to see an additional drought. So noting that you've got a drought effect on the inactive war as well. So you're going to see what is essentially going to be an increase of 2 to the unrest level because of this drought effect. All right, let's finish off your initiative. Would you like to make a persuasion attempt today, Tiberius Cornelius?
No, thank you.
Who's rolling for a knight today?
Nobody will roll.
Trying. And faction leader change?
Yes, I'll move it to Achilles.
Okay, not a problem. And anybody sponsoring games? It doesn't appear so. All right.
No.
All right, that's that initiative done. Well, 2 events in 1 draw. That's pretty good, and we've seen no additional war cards drawn for that matter. So that's really good. That's really positive. Let's finish with the final House of Julii, 2d6. Let's see how you go there. 4. It is going to be a draw. So let me hide the events card deck. So usual brief, early Republic deck's going to come out. Don't click on the deck, just hover. Look for the little draw link that pops up and then put a number on the box that pops up after that. There we go. Event is revealed. Hover over the deck. This is good because you don't often get the cards, right?
No. Can I put 10 in there?
Just 1 would be lovely. There we go. You've got it. Is it red text or black text?
It is dun 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 red.
Oh, very good.
Oh.
Wow. You guys got through unscathed. Holy dooly. And plus the bonus there, House Julii gets another red card. That's good for them. I'm so happy for them. All right. Would you like to make a persuasion attempt today?
No.
Okay. Who's attempting to roll for a knight?
It will be Sulpicius.
Sulpicius. All right. And how much money is put into the cause?
He's going to put in 6.
That will make it automatic.
Yep.
With the -1 Evil Omens die roll. So go ahead and bank that for me and grab yourself a number 1 knight token, and you can add that to Sulpicius. Will you be changing faction leaders today?
No, I won't.
No, that'll stay with Cato the Older. And is anybody looking to sponsor any games? I don't think so, judging by the pool of money there. All right, there you go. Bang, bang, bang. All initiatives done. We saw 2 event draws there, and we saw 0 wars drawn, which is woohoo. Very, very good. Very nice. You guys are going to be pretty happy with that. But, we did have the Evil Omens there, which smacked pre-Byzantium around pretty hard. And I guess had a pretty big impact on the state treasury. That's not nice, particularly when your levels are so low. That could have been a shocker if there was any more of a difference. And then, of course, we've got the additional drought there that needs to be thought about. So let's put Rome in order. All senators holding a major office right now needs to get a major marker. So if you've got a purple token on a senator card right now, dictator, consul, master of horse, censor, please go ahead and grab a red major marker and throw that on your senator right now. Shows you that...
Do you remove the major markers from the past ones?
Sounds like you've forgotten to do that when we announced that previously. So yes, please do that.
All right.
That's okay. At least you remembered for your own benefit, so you're not going to get smacked potentially for something that was unwarranted. So that's good. So Rome Consul Papirius is going to get one. We're going to see Sulpicius is going to get one. The dictator himself is going to get one. Scrolling up here, nobody needs to get one additional in pre-Byzantium. Could somebody please get one for the censor for Julius? Perhaps Numerus Aurelius can get the major marker for Marcoedia. And Quintus Octavius, so you need to grab one for the Master of Horse.
Oh, sorry. I meant to ask you, in pressuring a knight when your senators get old.
Mm-hmm.
So when you pressure
your
knight,
senators don't have to be old for you to pressure knights.
No, but if you pressure knight, you roll 1d6 and get the talents for it. But it goes on that in the treasury for that senator. Is that
the
correct?
personal treasury of that senator? That is correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So you won't be able to distribute it at that point. So it'll stay on the personal treasury of that senator until the next revenue phase, where you could then redistribute it at your leisure.
Okay.
Okay, everybody's got a major marker as required. Very good. Now, we don't have a Second Punic War or Gladiator slave result right now. That's very good. Okay, let's start by seeing if we can add Calpurnicus back to the forum. So if I could have the dictator as HRAO, I don't think this is going to be possible either on a 1d6. Oh, it's on recovering on a 5 or a 6. So you just need to get a 6 on a 1d6. Yeah, so let's see if you get a 6. No, you won't. So Copernicus will stay in the Curia for now. Now, we're also going to see if we can see enemy leaders to die. And just checking those stats, you'll need a 6. So let's start with Hamilcar. You need to get a 6 to get rid of Hamilcar. Let's see how you go there. Wow, you do.
Got him.
Hey.
You got him. You got rid of 1. That is...
Nice.
That's a pretty big win in its own right. He's only worth 3, but to get rid of some disastrous standoff numbers for any future Second Punic War is really good. Now let's try with Hannibal. You need a solid 6 here again to get rid of Hannibal. No, you'll get the complete opposite. Yeah, I was going to say I was going to be really lucky if we got both. So Hannibal will stay there to pester Rome some more. Right, that's Rome put in order. Okay, all factions. Could you please update your faction vote tallies as well as your faction influence? You might as well do that while you're there. Noting if you've got a senator away from Rome, and that's only one person right now, their faction votes don't count. Pre-Byzantium looking pretty sore there with only 2 faction votes total, with one faction senator away from Rome.
Yeah.
So remember, so
I didn't even get the bad omens. Yeah, the patient fell on me, so I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Oratory plus knights is your total for faction votes. Oratory plus knights. Go ahead and add all those up. Make sure your faction votes is reflected correctly, both in your faction area, but also on the faction vote tally board in the center of the field. So, yep, oratory plus knights for everybody. So, having a look here, so looks like House of Julii is at 15 faction votes, looking pretty strong there. They've always played it pretty good. Fortunatus Despair at 7 faction votes. House of Incognita with 9, Erudite faction with 10, and Pre-Byzantium 2, and then Justia Marita faction with 10 votes. Okay. All right, let's go into the population phase. We're now going to make our unrest level adjustments. So we're going to get a +1 to the unrest for every drought and unprosecuted war. We currently have 2 droughts and 2 unprosecuted wars. We're going to see an increase of +4 to the state unrest level. If I could ask a dictator to manage that, or appoint, or nominate somebody to manage that update. So we'll go from 2 to 6 on the state unrest level. And yes, I'll leave it to the dictator knows how to run the show from here, doing the State of the Republic address and whatnot, and speech and whatever. So over to the dictator.
Yes, thank you, people of Rome. We have had an interesting year. Most importantly, I am pleased to announce to the free people and citizens of Rome that the pesky First Punic War, which has been ravaging the lands down in Sicily for many years, has finally been thwarted and sent packing.
Optime! Bene!
We've received tribute for the victory. We have also been successful in seeing the death of one of their many leaders, which will surely hamper their war effort into the future. We still have many other issues to contend with. The Senate hears the unrest from the people. Your cries out of how Rome is being managed has been heard by me and by your fellow senators. And we will see to that the unrest levels that you feel will be reduced in this coming year. We see the effects of the droughts. We see the effects of the unprosecuted wars. These things will be attended to, and the people and citizens of Rome will have a better year to look forward to. Thank you.
Woo! All right.
Bravo.
What is the popularity of the dictator right now?
9.
Holy
Very
smokes, eh?
popular.
And we've got a -6 from the unrest level. So that is going to be a +3 modifier to a 3d6 roll here for the State of the Republic address. So let's roll
Alright.
3d6 and let's see how the
Make
people
sure
like
about
that. 11
that's good.
+3. 11, 12, 13, 14.
No
change.
change.
No change. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good. You know, not up, not down. And now you're in the Senate phase. So yeah, crack on.
Crack on.
Oh,
Alright,
hang on.
in that
Oh,
case-
hang on. We the minus roll to consider there from the evil omen.
Ah, yes.
Does that change the result at all?
It does not.
Good. Okay. Just checking.
No, thank you. I also didn't remember. We are now entering the Senate phase. The first in order that we must conduct is electing the new consuls for the upcoming year. I think, as spoken about before, I think it will be important to see that any Rome consuls leading into the next year has a strong popularity. Currently, we have no need for a dictator. I am pleased, and hopefully am the last dictator that Rome requires. I am pleased and thankful to hand back the reins and the running of the Senate and the Republic of Rome to the elected consuls elected by the Senate.
Thanks
So
to Unknown
let's
Star
have-
120 for the beverage time. Take a
So
sip,
let's
everyone.
have a quick look upon the Senate, and I'm interested to see people who have gained popularity among the citizens.
There's not many of them.
No,
They can gain popularity during this turn as well, right?
correct.
Have a look at your
Can
little
I just
white
make a
cheat sheet
short
in your
speech
faction
as-
zones.
While we look at this,
Yes, they could donate to the next round.
Exactly.
I'd just like to make a short speech, if that's all right, Dictator.
Sure, go right ahead.
I'd just like to note the successes of the last 2 years, without explicitly connecting that to the leadership of Fortuna's despair. I note that we have turned the tide of battle quite significantly in the last 2 years, and I thank you, Dictator, for your wonderful efforts on that front. So as we think about who may be elected consul, and we think about the success under my leadership is there, and also with a nod of the head to the House of Julii and their fine leadership within the field consul, I could perhaps press a claim to go for a third period of Rome consul. However, I would like to see some other senators be able to have the opportunity to lead this wonderful state. In particular, I'd like to see a senator from either the House of Incognita or from the House of Erdite to those two houses to share the consul positions. I think would be a rather good touch. And I just want to make that proposal and to have that hanging in the Senate as we consider what possibilities may lie.
Yes, I think I'm in concurrence with that. Particularly, I would like to see the awarding of another great war hero. Not only myself has found great victory upon the battlefield, but my master of horse, Aurelius, was also there by my side, giving great advice of what particular war maneuvers was required, and I'm sure that he will be awarded a great number of medals coming the remainder of this Senate phase. So
He had his
I'll-
experience.
yeah, I'll hear from the Uniti faction and Marker. Do you have a senator you would like to see become a consul?
Oh, you're muted, Marco.
Yes, I would. But I was also going to say if we'll be going to war again next time.
We will.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd like to probably put forward Julius, given he has good experience and also a higher military rating as well.
But isn't it likely we would be sending Aurelius to war if Aurelius was chosen? So it might be better for somebody with a better oratory rating.
So
Not necessarily.
as of right now, remember the consular candidates can't be holding a major office except for censor.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
perhaps
Perhaps Alias.
Alias is much
Yes,
better.
Alias
Yeah.
makes more sense.
So
Yep.
Well, he's
Julius
holding-
Julius is in fact eligible, but Aurelius is not.
is not because of the Master of Horse
Correct.
major position.
Yeah.
In that case, we do not have any other senators that have a.
Flaminius,
Yeah,
the
Flaminius.
younger.
Flaminius, the younger, will gladly take up field consul.
Yep.
Very well.
That works.
I'll put forward a proposal for the pair of consuls for the next year of Flaminius from the House of Incognita and Julius from the Erudite faction. I'll hear the vote from the pre-Byzantine faction.
Yeah, I don't know why you asked me 2 votes, I guess. In favour.
It could make all the difference. It's always worth putting them in, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So is it 2? Is it just 2?
Yeah, it's just 2.
So
wanted
just
to check
confirming,
for
just
the record.
one more time, it is just 2, right?
Cease the laughter, please. Cease the laughter. After all my hard work as a Pontifex Maximus, I get laughed out of the Senate.
I'll place my 10 votes for. House Julii, I'll hear from you now.
16 votes for.
Fortunes to spare.
7 in favour.
I'll hear from the House of Incognita.
9 in favour.
And finally, I'll hear from Marker.
Sorry,
Right.
what was that? Still didn't hear it, sorry.
I think it's 10.
4. 10 votes for.
4?
It shouldn't be on mute.
10.
10, yeah.
No, you're just a little bit quiet, that's
Thank
all. Scriber, I'll hear the results of the vote.
54 votes in favour and none against. So we have 2 new censors.
All right.
Very good. Who was that? That was Flaminius and Julius, is that right?
Correct.
Very good. And as we have been doing, that will now conclude session number 5. We are going strong. So technically you guys have beat last year's efforts. They did technically have a 6th session, although that was a sort of a play for fun. You know, they sort of lost at the end of the 5th session, but you guys are doing well at the end of the 5th session, which I'm very happy about. And you've all agreed to continue on into the Middle Republic as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So congratulations to you guys for another epic day. You know, we had some evil omens, of course, and some droughts. So not all good news for everybody, and of course the major prosecution. But nonetheless, we soldier on as a whole republic, which is great news. So to all of our senators here, we'll say Walete, and we'll see you all in a week time. For everybody else in chat, please hang around. I'll do my usual debrief. So we'll transition now. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Okay, and we are back for our end of session debrief, the end of session 5 of our Republic of Rome board game broadcast. I was looking forward to tonight's session because there's going to be some tough decisions to be made. They were made, and they came out to be really well. Look, the highlight of the night, I think, is their win in the First Punic War. They decided to capitalise on their already very large amount of legions that they had, added that up with the required fleet support, and they went all in to prosecute that First Punic War with the Dictator and Master of Horse. And miraculously, through both Hamilcar and Hannibal adding disaster and standoff numbers to the already 3 disaster and standoff numbers of the First Punic War, they didn't hit any of them, and they got a solid victory with 0 losses because they had such a large, managed to get a large difference multiplier on that 20 strength that the war card had with the enemy leaders added on there. So they've done really well to get that out of the way. That means they will see the Second Punic War, of course. They know that's coming, but it's going to have less of an impact for their overall gameplay going forwards. And I guess the good news is that they got rid of Hamilcar as well. So any potential future war of the Second Punic War is going to be slightly less of a threat. Hannibal's still there, of course, going to add +7. So it's still going to be a war to contend with, but it's not going to be as strong as it could be. So well done to them. They got 2 provinces out of that as well, so they'll need to assign some governors to that. It'll be interesting to see the governorship assignments for those. Any HRAO or presiding magistrate, who's looking to really get into the strategy now, will be looking to assign perhaps some certain governors to those positions. Or maybe there are some senators who are really looking to profit off those governorships or take some time out to, maybe protect a senator perhaps. So having seen the drop of that First Punic War now, I think it's an opportunity where the factions can immediately start to really focus in on themselves and really start to think about their strategy as an individual faction to try and gain the most influence and really start to put some points on the board. Poach Trout in the chat says, well done. And he says, yes, it turned out to be the right decision to fight that First Punic War. I didn't want to be in their shoes. That was a tough decision to make. They probably could have knocked off 2 wars there, although I think they ran the numbers, and I think they're only going to really go and prosecute the Macedonian War there. And fingers crossed they would have been successful there as well. But right, to get the First Punic War card off the deck is amazing. In terms of longevity of the Republic, getting rid of those Punic Wars is a great start. And right, as the good dictator pointed out during the course of the session there, is that things will start to get a little bit easier now. Once they get rid of that Second Punic War, which it's got to be soon, surely. I'm not sure how many cards are left in the deck, but that's got to be coming up. But that's been placed quite nicely. They did draw 2 events in the initiatives this round, so that really delayed the cards coming out of the deck. So yeah, we could see some different cards coming out next turn, or a lot of wars. Who knows what's left there? Poach Strat said he was worried they were going to get a natural disaster event, which would have ended the game. Yeah. So if they got a disaster, they would have had would have had 3 active wars there. Now I think that's okay. They would have suffered some heavy defeats there. I think it's if they had 4 or more at the end of the combat phase. They only had 3 on the books because the other one was inactive, right? Yeah, the other war, the First Illyrian War, was still inactive. So I think they would have been all right. I mean, the disaster's terrible anyway. Yeah, don't take the Second Punic War lightly with Hannibal still in play. That's right. So I think the strength of that war is 20 straight off the books, right? And then with 7 of Hannibal, it's a 27 strength war, which is pretty epic. Yeah, so Unknown Star, they're backing that up. So he's saying natural disaster means minus 50 talents from the state treasury. Yeah, right. So with all the unprosecuted wars, and if they didn't have the required fleet support there, that would have been 20, 40, 60 talents subtracted from the state treasury. Yeah, would they have even had that in their state treasury? When that Evil Omens came out and had to deduct 19 talents from the state treasury, that was a little bit of a shock probably more of a shock, I think, for Prebyzantium and Marius Aurelius. But he has experience of that because he suffered that exact same evil omens as Pontifex Maximus last year in this game. And yet he still wasn't prepared for it. He wasn't selfish enough. I think he wasn't accruing wealth to protect him and his Pontifex Maximus. He had nothing in his faction treasury, nothing on the personal treasury. So the full brunt of that. Maybe there'll be a major prosecution coming out of that. I don't know. Maybe the censor who's elected will have some leniency on Junius there for having such a hard time. Really copped it bad there. And of course, with his other Senator Fabius out on governorship gubernatorial roles, there's not a lot of influence his faction has right now with only 2 faction votes. So yeah, very, very interesting. So yes, Evil Omens event card drawn as well as the drought. Currently sitting at 6 on the unrest level. We'll see what sort of effect that has. If they can win some more wars going forwards, that'll drop back down again. But I've got my eyes on that state treasury. It's at 49. They will really need to consider what wars they fight and whether they can then continue to afford the upkeep of what is the largest force in the world. I wouldn't be surprised if we see potentially some disbandment options come forwards here. Now, what money do they seek to gain from fighting the residual wars that are left over there? They've got the Syrian War worth 45 talents and the Second Macedonian War worth 45 talents. I think those two in their own right helps to fund their armies, assuming they take 0 losses from both those wars. And that's assuming they win them, of course, as well. And they would perhaps subsequently maybe see some natural attrition of forces. I don't know. So maybe they won't disband forces. We will see. Now, the other thing I guess I really wanted to talk about and highlight at this point is Titus Quinticus Flaminius or Flaminius Africanus. I don't know whether the Senate will award the Addendum Africanus for the statesman there for his great work with the First Punic War. So he is, if he's not popular, he's definitely a target. So he's 9 popularity, which is very helpful in terms of the State of the Republic address. And we saw that. No change. That was probably a good outcome then. But he's on 29 influence. He is only 6-7 influence away now from being automatically appointed consul for life. So definitely he won't be looked at for any of the consulerships, which he wasn't in this latest round, and he certainly won't be looked at for dictatorship because that will tip it over the edge. He is an age 7 senator though. Age 7, he's likely to pass on in the near future, but he'll be looking at voluntary retirement if he's smart enough to try and bank some of that influence, and he'll probably be the first faction to do so and squirrel some points away for the end game. So we'll see what he does going forward, or whether he tries to hang on for another year, depending on what his strategy is. His other senators aren't particularly much of a threat. They're all pretty low influence. And I think this Valerius is pretty old, so we're going to see him probably die of natural causes soon. See a normal reset there. That's about it. In terms of a recap, another interesting session. I look forward to seeing what they do with the upcoming wars. And already I could start to sense this round. When we got to that revenue phase, no one was talking about moving money around and supporting the state treasury or supporting for the State of the Republic address. There was very little public chatter about working together anymore. It became very obvious from my point of view. I'm not sure about everybody else watching at home, but very obvious for me that they've now become very in-looking. What am I going to do? I think there's a lot of factions there which were banking money into the state treasuries. A lot of money came in there. Not a lot of money was spent. There was, I think, 2 factions that spent money on the state treasury. Good on them. I think seeking to continue their appeal to the other factions to say, look, I'm still in it for the good of the team. But I think there's some other factions there which were like, no, I'm now got to look after myself. So, and the person more than so that's going to be doing that is probably the House of Incognita, seeing a major prosecution go down, and we saw Flaminius executed for his deeds as censor for the previous turns. Maybe the hangover of vetoing the dictator's proposals in the last year was just too much for the Senate, and they decided to do something about it. And I could sense very much from the Senate themselves that was certainly a group decision to censor, perhaps merely a puppet maybe. There was lots of input from the other factions there. So it looks like there was some planning going on in the background. And Flaminius, granted, was quite strong there. People weren't particularly comfortable with his strength, and particularly with being re-elected censor several times over. And so somebody wanted to do something about that, it would seem. So unlucky for House of Incognito, we saw that he wasn't particularly impressed with that. We saw lots of abstentions or voting against proposals there. But no doubt he'll be planning his revenge and looking to knock a few others down a few pegs. We'll see what he does in the upcoming Senate phase and the turns going forwards. Poach Trout says, well, you can attempt to assassinate, and right, you can certainly do that without any cards. Assassinations can occur at any time during the Senate phase by a faction to another. So we'll see what what some of the senators may do there. Interesting session. Very good. I very much enjoyed that. It was a long session tonight and a longer stream. Subsequently, the Senate phase at the beginning of the session took a long time, lots of discussion on war, and there's lots on the books to deal with, particularly as we start to see governorships and concessions to assign. There's more and more to think about. So, right. So from here, we'll leave it for another week. We'll come back again next Monday, 11:30 a.m. Rome time or 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're all keeping safe during these COVID, and if you're in lockdown, I hope you're keeping well. Look after your mental health and well-being. Give your family and friends a call. Make sure they're okay as well. Look after each other. Keep true. Continue to do what you can in light of the epidemic. It's certainly impacting the rest of the world, but hopefully our Roman channel here brings you a little bit of light in these dark times and a little bit of fun, and we learn some things about ancient Rome along the way. I am Decimus Aurelius. This has been the Republic of Rome board game broadcast here on the Roman Twitch channel, brought to you by Nova Roma. It has been an absolute pleasure to be with you again this evening. Thank you very much for joining us in chat. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the support. Hope you enjoyed tonight's session. Seeing everybody in the chat saying Walete to all of you. We'll see you again in a week's time on Monday. Thanks very much for watching. Walete.